Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Make sure to tune into the last 15 minutes if you are not watching this live. If you're not watching this live, go look at the last 15 minutes where we will do a little breakdown of every stock that we covered this morning. Looking at today, it looks like volatility is going up. And remember one thing, that course is officially going up in price today. Oh, wait, April Fools. Today is my dog Bruce's birthday. So we're going to be leaving that for $100 for the rest of today. So make sure if you are interested in that course that you are asking some questions in the chat, looking around, making sure that it's a good option for you. It's a very good opportunity to learn. And today we have a big day and it looks like volatility could creep up. So you might need some kind of bear market strategy. So I figured I was going to pull Bruce on here so you guys could see him for a moment. Here in the morning, I thought that would be a little bit fun. So I'm going to turn off my mic because he can be a little bit sloppy and loud. But let's see if you guys want to see Bruce. We'll do that real quick. Good morning, Matthew. Here you go. Hey, happy birthday to Bruce. Bruce, come here. Come here. Come here, buddy. Hop up. Oh, this is the Bruce. He's 2 years old. 2-year-old boy today. So say good morning, Bruce, and thank you for letting it be April Fool's Day. And now the course is only going to be $100 for today too. And then tomorrow it goes up. So make sure to ask questions about it. But happy birthday, Bruce. Happy birthday. Got him some toys. He is a sloppy guy. But yeah, he's a pit bull. All right, Bruce. Good boy. Now go to your spot. Go. Go to your spot. What a good kid, you know? What a good kid. Lots of happy birthdays for Bruce in the chat as we look at the stock market here. Yeah, Bruce is 100% pitbull. We thought he might have some Great Dane in him or something, but he just has a really cool pattern to him. So exciting day today. Yeah, we see volatility popping. We have to see if we're going to see this break to the upside. It looks like that is happening as of now. The thing that I was paying attention to last night, looks like this could be a moment to pay attention because we're seeing this go, well, let's do a 4-hour. I like my 4-hour for the futures here. We saw this little jump higher. Now we're seeing that roll back over. So this is the divergence we're seeing on the 2-hour for the SPY. And now we have to see if this confirms here today. So this is going to be a very important point to pay attention to stocks this morning. So just really be aware of this type of signal confirming to the downside because it could signal that we're heading lower. Now we do have some data drop today. PMI, we're going to pay attention to that. That comes out in about 30 minutes. Market opens in about 2. So we're going to bounce through some of these as the market opens. Maybe we'll just watch the SPY for a moment, see if this signal on the 2-hour, which is similar to the one on the 4 in the futures, can confirm. So as of right now, it looked like the SPY was making a move up in the futures, and then now that all has been given back. So maybe people starting to sell those positions, get out of their positions, and then we'll see if this double top has something to prove. Oh, let's make some money. Yeah, good morning to Booster. Good morning to Naveed. Tebow, what up? Knowledge on the go. I like anime. Review, Connie. Frankie, Matthew, Mansuki. Jeremiah, we got Amin, he's here today. Awesome to see you guys showing up today. Now we have to see if things are going to play out the way we think, right? Are we going to see that upward price action that gives us a divergence later, or are we going to see that right now and start to head to lower levels before CPI? That's what I'm really thinking. And IAX is here, Marina's here, Philip's here. Good morning, good morning. Grab your coffee. We've got a big, I want to say week, but it's a big month, so say happy birthday to Bruce. Thank you, Marina. I actually should probably even change the title here and be like, you know, it's Bruce's birthday. But make sure if you're thinking about taking that course, today's going to be the last day. So after my video tonight, by midnight tonight, we will be most likely changing that price. So I'd say by tomorrow morning, that price will be changed. So make sure if you do have questions around that, just to ask today. My real name's Dallas. I need to change my username. Hey, I don't mind. I like anime. I don't mind that name. Makes me think I need to watch some anime. Amine? Did I call you Amine? Someone in here was Amine. Anime, yeah. I'm still finishing Naruto at this point. I'm on the last little bit of Naruto. Ocean Goose says, good morning from California. I'm sure you are up early right now. You California people, you got to wake up early, huh? But this is what we're going to pay attention to this morning. See if this little signal here gives us a little bit of confirmation to some downside. We're seeing one thing that I'm noticing that's kind of interesting here. Volatility starting to get a big bounce here. Now, will that come up to here and then fade, and then we see that come back in? Are we going to fill this gap first? There's still potential for this to fade back down and curl back up. But really, on the daily, that's all we have to pay attention to here. If we start to see this thing cross on the MACD, it could be another moment where, boom, volatility can come back in pretty quick. So we got to pay attention to that going forward. Dollar seeing another upward move. So that's something to pay attention to. One thing is the TLT dropping off dramatically here. Okay, so the 10-year yield not able to drop back down. Remember, this just puts more pressure on the banks. Okay, so as this goes up, we still get more pressure on those banks. So if we're able to curl up again here, break through this level up here, banks are going to really start to suffer up in this area with these rates. So that's something to pay attention to going forward. But the SPY, looking at it, you can see we're still above the 5-day moving average. Just want to see if this 2-hour is able to curl over. Something that had some major strength in the futures was the Qs. The Qs actually were like trading all the way up towards like 446, 447 at one point in the pre-market. That started to fade down. Apple actually going to lower levels as well. So as of right now, you know, something we talked about last night on Apple is going to be, you want to pay attention to the other side, right? This was the side that we could pay attention to the upside. If we base out from here, then that would make some sense still, right? If we do this. But as of right now, if we start to test down in this level, you can see the other way, right? We can see something develop this way where we actually head a little bit lower. So be paying attention to our weekly ranges this week on Apple and stuff that we give out on Patreon. It's going to be a very good time to pay attention to that type of stuff just because it's going to be a big month. And I think we're going to see those wider spreads, right? The monthlies look a little bit spread out. If you're looking at these monthlies for the individual stocks, like Meta has a big one, Nvidia has a pretty dang big one. Amazon has a decent size one. Tesla has a decent size one. Apple doesn't have that big a one, but Tesla and Meta and Nvidia and AMD actually all have pretty good size ones. So we could see like 10% moves this week, and that's a little bit scary. So we want to pay attention to the downside. This was one that we were paying attention to. So we got to see where that weekly is at. Well, the weekly is a little bit lower. Okay, the weekly is a lot lower actually. So if we see this keep selling off, really, it's just going into negative territory. See if this 2 hour is able to roll over, because that's going to say, hey, yeah, I'm heading to lower prices. Anybody got some big plays today? Salutations, Gabo Jr., good morning. What time in California do you have to wake up for market open? Isn't it like 6:30 a.m. that the market opens or something like that? So let's bounce through Tesla, seeing that start to sell off as well. So we're still within this pattern. We can see moves up, but if we wanted to break down, well, we'd probably need to break through this, get that retest, and then you'll see a little head and shoulders on the way down. So not the strongest move from Tesla to start the week. We can still pay attention to the bottom side of our weekly ranges. Amazon seeing a good move higher. So that is something to pay attention to. Amazon seeing a good move higher here. We can pay attention to the top side of that weekly expected move now. We can see if this divergence up here, it's not playing out as of right now. We can see the daily starting to curl up. Look at that, a green bar on the histogram. So maybe we get a couple days of positivity here, go up and touch that weekly expected move, and then we see this all ripped away. So pay attention to that this morning. We got 25 minutes until PMI comes out, so we'll have to see how the market reacts to that info. Nvidia here, trying to curl up right now. Now, this was one on the 2 hour. We were just stating how it looks like it needs to curl up into positive territory. As of right now, still kind of flagging. So if this wants to see positivity, you're going to see that 2 hour curl back up. Maybe we go up towards 1,000 based on those weekly expected moves on Patreon. We can say, hey, maybe 1,000 is hit this week, but we got to curl up on this 2 hour for that to happen. Now, if you're going to break down further, well, you've built up to the center line with this 30 minutes. So maybe we want to see some actually downward pressure. So I would look for to the upside, that 2 hour to cross up, to the downside, see this 30-minute cross down. Good shot that you're going to come test like an 850, 840 down in this little box right here would be a great area to test for NVIDIA. AMD, seeing if this thing can break to the upside, right? Seeing if it can break up or break down. We've built up a ton of liquidity in here, and we're seeing that roll up in positive territory. It's still got to beat this high, break out of this consolidation. But we've built up so much liquidity in here that we can just launch higher, come and fill this gap pretty quick. So I'll be paying attention to that. AMD weekly expected move. I'm really going to be paying attention to this gap right here. I think it's got a good shot of getting filled if we see positivity. Meta, seeing some positivity come in. Remember, this is that 30-minute divergence that we slightly talked about in our YouTube video, seeing that on the MACD and RSI at the same time, right? So now we're seeing that bounce up. Good shot that Meta is actually going to curl up on this 2 hour now. But will that create a lower high as we are a little bit deeper down into negative? We could just see this curl up, curl right back down. So if I was trading this, I would really just be looking for maybe a point between these levels here, right? It seems like we're consolidating. We're starting to get tight and see if that's able to break to the upside or downside. But if that 2 hour curls up, good shot that we're going to maybe at least test this level up here at 510. If we start to break through there, I'll be looking for a 2 hour divergence up in this area, maybe around that weekly expected move. Now, Microsoft, this was one that we said could curl up on the 2 hour. Remember, this was where our weekly range was. We gave you that for Microsoft last week. This is where it kind of halted. Now we're seeing that curl up into positive territory. So we can see some kind of move here with Microsoft going forward. Let's see what you guys are thinking in the chat today. I'm lucky it opens at 2:30 p.m. for me. Hey, Rose, that's cool. Good morning, all from Georgia. That's where I moved here from. Moved here from pretty much Atlanta. And then Google's one that's looking like, hey, it's got some upside in it. Look at that, the 2 hour, if it's able to roll up, but you're getting towards overbought right in the beginning of the day. So that's something to be a little bit cautious of. Let me get up some stuff here. PMI comes out in 23 minutes. 23 minutes, and we got that PMI coming out. Oh my goodness, who did that? Marina, thank you so much for the $10 over on PayPal. Down in the description, sending $10 over on PayPal with that donation link down in the description. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you for the coffee. That's all I gotta say. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for the coffee. Really appreciate it. That's awesome. You know I love my coffee, so. Right. Just got a few things to take care of on my end this morning. PMI in 8 minutes. ISM is in 22. Let me check that. Let me double check. Maybe I have it a little bit off. I have PMI in 22 minutes. Now SP Global Manufacturing PMI in about 7 minutes. You have the global manufacturing PMI final, and then ISM manufacturing PMI. Okay, so you're kind of right there, actually. I see what you're saying. Gotta take care of some business this morning. Alrighty then. Leave that Gmail up just in case there's other donation. I want to make sure to say thank you to anyone that gives some money for some coffee, you know? All right. Oop. Dang it. Keep clicking very badly today. All right. I just go by what MarketWatch has. Yeah, MarketWatch is a good one. That's the one I used to use. It's not bad. Market likes something, Nas, we're from minus to 100 fast. The thing is, it bought up in the post or the pre-market too. So pre-market, you are actually up like almost 1% on the Qs. Just to let you know, pre-market, I watched it last night. You're pretty much like as of this morning. You were up almost 1%, and then that faded like right before, a couple hours before the open. The nonstop pump continues, but there's still trades to be had. You know what I mean? There's still some trades to be had. All we have to do is see stuff keep curling up. Honestly, it's going to be very easy if it just keeps curling up. We just keep curling up. We keep taking those calls into positive territory. It's perfectly fine. But Microsoft coming up into, well, actually, Microsoft actually heading up towards its weekly expected move very early on here. So I just wanted to point that out. If we do curl up, be careful up in this area, okay? If we start to break to the upside here, watch out for this area right here. Yeah, I would say even this high. If we start to test this high right here, be very, very careful with that going forward because you are approaching that expected move very early on in the week. All right. My goodness. AMD just made you a good chunk. Look at that, breaking out to the upside. Here you go. So there is potential upside here. I'm guessing Nvidia looking like a same reaction. So Nvidia wants to curl up. On this 2 hour, we can see a positive move. I wonder if this is just overall an ABC pattern. Let's see where this would kind of land us here. Well, let's take a look, see if that's able to break to the upside. Let's take it from the low right in here. Looks like we could get up towards 1,000, so we want to be paying attention to those weekly expected moves. If this hasn't fully curled up yet, guys. Okay, it hasn't fully curled up. We have our piece of news coming out very, very soon. Keep that in mind going forward, all right? Keep that in mind. We have that that potential for this to still turn around, right? We do still have the potential for it to turn around, but as we do see these all curl up into positive territory, we got to say, hey, maybe some positivities there. Qs, they're able to curl up, so you'd have to say, hey, some positivity is coming. Now, just want to be careful. This is a strong move. If we continue this on throughout the day and we come up to this area in here is your resistance area this morning. Today, this is going to be your resistance area. So just be a little bit careful up in this area if we get there. Right now, you're at the level where you'd really like to see this actually, do something like this, right? This is kind of a basin here, left head, right shoulder. You would really like this to consolidate even for a day or two. But I don't know if that's going to happen. People are kind of bottled up over the weekend. That's a good move, though. See if that's able to hold. Solid move, Meta, solid move, going higher. And baby girl's waking up. All right, let's see. Meta, weekly expected move. Boom. Oh, it's just above us. So you're seeing, actually, we're going to probably get some good trade setups. We might be putting that video out on Patreon very early this week. If we see some trade setups, we are going to be putting them over on Patreon. Dang, that is a strong, strong bar there. See what happens in about 5 minutes as things are really starting to approach some key levels here for the actual market. Oh my goodness, that is a strong move. Is the course just a one-time payment? Can you always go back to the course and rewatch it forever? Yes, Connie. Yes, that is a very good question about the course. Remember, guys, it's only $100 for another, I'd say, till tomorrow morning's live video. So by tomorrow's live video, it is going to increase in price. So because of Bruce's birthday, we're leaving it for one more day so I can talk about it with you guys live. But And Patricia said the 6:30 a.m. thing. I just saw that. But yes, Connie, you can literally watch it forever. If I add videos to it, you don't have to pay anything extra. So as we add to it, when we do, it's going to possibly, or not possibly, sorry, you will have that information. Sweet, I got it yesterday, but wasn't sure I can go back as much as I want. Yeah, you can go back as much as you want. If we add anything to it, you can go, watch those videos, and I'll try to tell you when that happens. That way you know to go back and click on it. Hey, pal, the doggy for treats. Yeah, we got him some treats, so thank you. He says thank you. He loves his food. I gave him a little extra food today. Don't tell his mom. AMD is breaking resistance to the upside. So these are very, very strong moves. Okay, these are strong moves on Monday going forward. These are all very strong moves. Look at Google making that huge move upward. You just got to be careful when you're seeing this type of stuff, because let's look where Google's at. Well, according to our weekly expected move, Google's trading outside of its weekly expected move on a Monday. Okay, so that is something huge to pay attention to. You can look at Google. There's tons of trades out there to be looking at. Google testing that high, right? We're actually coming up to a higher point. So Google could be seeing this maybe ripped away, right? Look at the daily on this. Going to higher levels, but will this confirm a divergence like now? That would be very, very interesting. So just note that Google's already outside that range. I'm just keeping those because we're going to add those to the Patreon. Once we get to 100 members on Patreon, we're going to be adding Microsoft and Google. All right. Good to go. Good to go. Keep those ranges up. All right, now I'm talking to you guys. Finally, Willow has come back to the money market. Willow, what's up? Dragon, what up? That's a wide bull. Bruce is the guy. He goes around, and it doesn't matter what amount of food you give him. You can give him a ton of food. You can give him a little food. He's gonna sniff everyone's bowl and make sure everyone ate all their food. It's he's a funny guy. Dang, that is a move higher, guys. A lot of stuff coming up into its actual weekly expected move. One of them being Microsoft actually coming right below it. Meta starting to approach it as of now. Google outside of it on a Monday. Okay, so this is one thing we'll talk about most likely on Patreon. This is kind of what you're looking for. Tesla breaking to the downside. Still within that flagging, so we'll have to see what comes of that. Apple breaking down a little bit further as well. Qs, that's a big, strong move, but we need to consolidate in this area. So you really do want some consolidation if we want to head higher. But if we roll over too far, you're going to cross over into negative territory and most likely take out this low. So you want to be a little bit careful with these moves today. They're looking very bullish. NVIDIA still hasn't, hit 1,000 or anything. This is not up towards its weekly expected move. Right, this isn't up towards it just yet. So if that curls up, we can see that positivity. Maybe we blow off to the upside, and we're actually going to see Google just keep going. We're going to see Microsoft, or we're going to see Meta just keep going. But I'm not necessarily leaning towards that. I think this stuff is going to start to fade pretty quick. I really do. Volatility really popping higher if it's able to hold at higher levels here. Remember, this is where that double bottom in the volatility has played out, but the double top in the SPY has not yet. So this is really going to be where we pay attention to the actual market. I think paying attention to the SPY today is a very, very good idea. Yeah, I know. And TLT, big move down, so those yields really popping higher. 845, we have to see what that info gave us this morning. And looks like the PMI final was 51.9. So now we're just waiting on the ISM manufacturing PMI. That's going to be interesting going forward too, seeing if there's any kind of tick up, tick down, watching how the market reacts to that. That's all we're going to do today. I mean, that's all we have to do. We just see if we can curl up on these 2 hours. We probably see positivity, but if we start to break down, you got stocks like Google's really telling you like, hey, I'm way past where I was supposed to go this week. Google's really saying that at that point. So this could fade pretty quickly for Google. Look at that move. That is a very, very strong move, right? I'm not doubting it by any means. I'm just saying now we're getting up to higher levels where we can create a daily divergence. These 2 hours, we said price is getting tight. We're going to see a move up or down. Boom. Breaks to the upside. It looks like pretty good to the downside. The momentum dying out. Nope. Momentum does not take over to the downside. It does not die out. We get another push higher. Is this going to be the last euphoric push as we are getting outside of our weekly ranges? So that's something just to pay attention to. You have Google trading outside of its upside of its weekly range right now, right? Its weekly range is somewhere right in here, trading outside of that. So this is why it's really good to join the Patreon, go over there, because it's just very, very useful. One stock can tell you a lot about the entire market. Remember that one time Meta, I think it was like somewhere around this price action for Google. Meta broke through its weekly on a Monday, right? This was the Monday, and it broke through. And then we said, hey, Meta's breaking to the downside pretty quick here, and it has a whole week to say, hey, yeah, 68% chance to land up. So right now, Google telling you the opposite. It's going up really fast, and it's saying, hey, this is as high. I'm actually higher than I'm supposed to go for the entire week, so I have that 68% chance to land back down, which just tells you like there's more potential early on in the week for this to really sell down by Friday and stay within its range. So this is one I'm going to be really looking at. AMD, that is a strong move. Look at that move going forward. Very, very good. See if that daily is able to cross up. Now remember, AMD is one on the daily, even that it could create that lower high at any point, right? It's right by that center line. If we see that cross, good shot, we're going to go a lot higher, but I would just really pay attention this week to like 190. I think that's going to be very, very important for AMD. But NVIDIA, if that sees positivity here, we just want to look at that 2 hours, see if that's able to curl up. You can see it. You can see it right in front of us. We can see it. Maybe this does roll up, go positive, and we get 1,000 on NVIDIA this week. So that's what we have to pay attention to. But 8 minutes until we actually get that ISM manufacturing PMI. We got Meta, needs about $5 in it to get to its weekly. Got Microsoft already going towards its weekly and fading down. So this is overall what I was talking about. You see how it's coming up towards that weekly expected move, and then it fades. Well, Google, it came outside of it, so we have to see if that fades throughout the day, see if that's going to turn around, or if we're going to use it as support to actually head higher, right? We have to pay attention to that as well. So now that you're outside of the range, if you have these up on your charts, because you're part of the Patreon, you can say, okay, here's my range. If we just do this for a little bit and then explode higher, we can use it as support. But as of right now, on a Monday, I'm just going to tell you, on a Monday, usually things fade on a Monday when they get outside of their weekly expected moves. Q still holding higher. This is where we expect resistance, though. Remember, we've been drawing this line across here for quite some time, right? Right across here. We're seeing that start to come in like this. So if we really do want to go higher, it's okay. We just need to base out here and go a little bit higher. But as we get news in 7 minutes, there's going to most likely be some kind of reaction. I'm not going to say there has to be, but there's most likely going to be a reaction here, right? VIX is up, market is up too. Interesting. Yeah, that's usually a signal you want to pay attention to when the volatility pops before the SPY. Good point to pay attention. SQQQ around $10. Yeah, it's a good time to look at the SQQQ and things like that. Solid time. I mean, a lot of people are not betting against the market at this point. Something we could do throughout this morning is look at max pain and things like that. But you guys know I have my volatility hedge. But the UVXY, SQQQ, they need the actual stocks to, drop off, right? So VIX gapped up. We might try to fill the gap. Yeah, and that very well could happen. So volatility, we could try to fill some gaps up here. Could be happening right now. You're just noticing the 2 hour able to go positive. So even if we get that sustained bounce, Your 2 hours positive. So if we're able to hold at higher levels and break through, that would be a good sign that volatility is here to stay for a little bit. But as of right now, we just want to pay attention to if this starts to fade, right? We could easily start to fade here, but going positive is a good first step. Now you just need that daily to roll up and go positive. And then guess what? We have volatility back. So something to pay attention to there, but look at the 30-minute. It looks like it might want to roll down first, maybe fill that gap, and then go right back up. So we'll pay attention to this. The thing that's really scary is TLT just dropping off like crazy. Remember, I actually would say, TLT heading up had the potential to even crash the market, because that would mean something in the market is most likely sick, people running to safety, all that good stuff. So TLT able to curl over on this 2 hour. Now we may go create some kind of 2 hour divergence. Something like that could very well happen. Maybe we come and test this level right here. We create some kind of small 2 hour divergence in positive territory. Literally, if you make a divergence that's like in positive territory, the likelihood of that daily just exploding higher is actually very high. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. The Trump media. Remember, this is what we were telling you guys about Trump media. This base right here, remember this level right here? I was like, I think that's very important. You start to lose that, we can start to fill this gap, go back into our liquidity, right? So I expect this to probably come and fill this gap soon. Just crossed on this 2 hour MACD, so some good potential to come and fill this gap down towards $50. Dollar's still creeping higher. It's just creeping higher and higher and higher. One thing I did look at that I didn't really mention was I wanted to show this divergence on the housing sector on HGX. You can see this very clear divergence right up in this area. You actually have that divergence across all of the MACD and RSI. You have this flatness up top. You have a little bit down up top, right? A little bit down there. And then you see it, boom, and then we have the actual downward move here, downward move here. So if this rolls down, that would not be good news for the market. HYG really dropping off. Okay, so HYG is a signal you want to pay attention to. Even almost a false breakout out of some consolidation, right? False breakout type thing here, double top, right? We see the divergence there. Now this did come up a little bit higher, so take the divergence with a grain of salt, but rolling down into possibly negative territory. HYG, this is your high yield growth. If they are selling, then the overall market most likely needs to be selling. You really want this to be following the market. It's been consolidating forever. So that's how you know, hey, the SPY's big move up for the last, month is not the healthiest thing in the world. And the Dow actually giving you a double top. Look at this double top on the Dow. Okay, so just pay attention to this, because this could lead to something. Look at this 2 hour divergence. It's very significant. You have possible double top here on the Dow, which is just screaming like, hey, maybe I have some bad news for the overall market. Now we'll pay attention if there's a difference between the SPY and the Dow, the Qs and the Dow. You're seeing that buy signal. We're still curling up positive territory. This has been very bullish for some time. So pay attention here. Things could really start to go either way, but it could mean it's a good time to trade those individual stocks, like the ones that are coming outside of those expected moves, right? Look for trade setups for Google, which is actually setting up that divergence still right here, right? A little bit down on the RSI, a little bit down on the MACD. So you still have that 2 hour divergence up here, which likes to roll around dailies. The thing about the daily right now, well, it's got divergence as well if it wants to confirm from here. You have a little bit down on the MACD, you have a down on the RSI, decently down on the RSI here. So when you have them all at the same time, it's a point to pay attention. You'd know that from taking the course, you'll really start to understand these types of things. 10-year, yeah. So people are, that's just screaming, maybe we do need these rates higher. I mean, inflation is still here. If we keep seeing those inflationary numbers print, that could be very, very bad for the market. That's why I think CPI is going to be so important. I mean, CPI is going to be really important. I would really mark down April 10th on your charts, guys. Really, really would. I got the data up here in front of me. I'm going to switch this over to the Qs just so we can see the reaction from there, heading up towards that daily expected move very early on in the week, very early on in the day. So if we actually come up to this level, even break through, we could see that fade throughout the day. So be a little bit careful, but I do have the data up. We're going to see what that drop gives us. Georgie, let's see. What do you guys think is going to happen for the rest of the day? Meta outside the weekly range. Exactly. You have Meta that told you last time, hey, I'm outside of my weekly range. So Meta didn't come fully outside of its weekly from what I have here. I'll make sure that I posted that on Patreon correctly, but as of right now, I'll double check just to make sure for those weeklies. Only 20 members until we can add Microsoft and Google, guys. So if you're thinking about joining, we'd really like you to be there. We're probably going to be giving out some videos today. Meta not trading outside of its weekly as of right now. It's heading up towards it. Now, one that is Google. We're going to start posting that. Once we get 22 more members, we're going to start posting Google and Microsoft. Google, one that's trading well outside of its range right now. Microsoft went and almost tested it today and then saw that completely fade off. So Microsoft, remember, this is a great trade setup. You have 2-hour divergences right up in this area was your trade. 2-hour divergences, daily divergences, all that stuff at the same time, even confirming. So lower prices in Microsoft is very, very probable here. Will that be consolidation? We'll have to see. Let's see what that data had for us this morning. We have a reading of 50.3 coming out. Previous was 47.8. Consensus on this about 48.3, 48.4. So that is something to pay attention to. Let's just see how the market reacts to that news. Let's go over to the Qs, see if we're seeing that as bullish or bearish. Right now coming in as bullish. I mean, you're not seeing anything sell off. You're about to curl up, maybe go positive here, see a test of the top side. So we'll have to pay attention to that. Google one, we can see that positivity continue. We just crossed on this, but we're already overbought. So be a little careful on this 2-hour, little overbought there. AMD strong move forward. You have to say, if you were very, very diligent, if you were very, very confident with this stuff down here, we saw all the divergences at these levels, right? And then this is that move. Finally, we're getting that actual strong bar up. But remember to pay attention at this gap, guys. I'd say be very, very careful around this gap. NVIDIA not seeing that strength come in just yet. So we're seeing a lot of things head a little bit higher, but we're also seeing things head a little bit lower. We're seeing things hit the top side of their weekly expected moves. And we're seeing this signal still hold at this point. That could just roll over, confirm this as some kind of almost double top. This divergence right here could lead to that daily really starting to sell off. So it's something to pay attention to. ISM is a bit hot. Did PMI come in yet? So yeah, the PMI came in a little bit higher than expected. Okay, so you're coming in at about 50.3. So you're looking at, I mean, that's a decently high reading there. Honestly, that's pretty good. That actually is a number that can, you know, affect the market. And so we're seeing that struggle as of right now. I was just stating how the interesting thing was the Qs before market opened were trading up where it is right now. Then it faded back down. Then when the market opens, we go right back up to that point. So you have to say, are sellers in this area? We'll have to find out. I would really, really pay attention if you actually get this confirmation of upside as we're seeing that fade right now. So something to pay attention to there. Just keep clicking around all across the board, Microsoft, right? This is the great trade setup that if you are able to get a position on this, you can just hold that position for quite some time, right? We see that red bar. Boom, we got the divergence. Boom, we have that daily divergence behind us as well, so we can be a little confident in this. If that crosses, guess what? It crossed, and it's still crossed as of right now. So if this wants to break through here, it would be a great, great trade. Great position right there. Google not fully fading. Yeah, let's see what Netflix is doing. Netflix dropped off pretty good. We want to kind of get rid of some of this in here. Now, what Netflix could do is come down to this level here, right? Get some kind of little bounce around this area for a right shoulder. But you have to say this price action is pretty tight, so it might not even make that right shoulder. It literally might just start dropping through on Netflix. We'll have to see what happens with that. SMCI, you just want to see is this daily going to curl up positive territory. And Studio B Brit, thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate you being here today. Gonna go down into a 2-hour here, see how that's curling up into positive territory. This could be an ABC move higher. The points that I'm paying attention to, just the high and the overall gap fill down here at this red bar. So we want to see, is this going to curl up? Is this just an overall A, B, C move to head higher, maybe test this level up here where those sellers came in. So that's something to pay attention to. Mara really dropping off. Remember, we were talking about the selling that can come in once we get to this zone. This was a great trade setup though, right? This was a great trade setup. We saw the 30-minute, we saw the flagging, right? We had our flag drawn up here, and now we're seeing divergence, right? You have a 30-minute divergence, which can curl over the 2-hour, about to curl over, and guess what? That could go negative. So be very careful. Bitcoin didn't want to break to the upside. Look at that. The 4-hour, this is what we were posting on Patreon. Wait, look, this thing could curl up. This thing could break to the upside. Boom, we get a fake out. We see the 4-hour divergence now at this level, giving you almost a triple top. And now we're seeing that break down. So now from here on Bitcoin, you really want to see, is this daily going to keep selling off? Am I going to close below the 20-day moving average? If I close below the 20, well, then we're going to test these levels, and there's always more potential for a lower high at that point once you go negative. So just pay attention. There's a lot of things pointing to some possible downside right now, Bitcoin flagging. So be a little bit careful going forward. Looks like April, we are going to possibly see some more volatility because we have bigger expected moves. The April Fool's fake out. That's right. I know not only is the market faking you out, but Bruce faked you out this morning. I talked to him and I was like, hey man, I got to increase the price of my course. And he's like, nah, man, April Fool's is my birthday. So leave it for $100. So when the volatility picks up this month, people can start trading better. People can use those weekly expected moves and have a greater understanding of that MACD. Okay. So it's all Bruce. What? Yeah, Bruce said it, but in his Bruce voice, you know, a little bit slightly retartar. Bruce is our little idiot. He runs into walls and stuff with his big blockhead. Sometimes he'll be like standing next to a table for a whole like 30 minutes, and then we'll just be like Bruce, and he'll just hit his head and be like, oh God, Bruce, we love you, buddy. If you weren't so smelly, we'd love you even more. I need to take myself off of this. I need to, how do I unsubscribe from something? Okay, continue receiving email, unsubscribe. Okay. I have so many things that I'm like subscribed to because of my old business for emails, and I have to unsubscribe like daily. All right, so what are your guys' trade setups? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that we are just going to see this keep heading up forever? Or do you think that this week, do you think Google is telling us something bad? Do you think this week ends up in these levels, or do you think Google ends down in these levels? Let's see what you guys think. Let's get a little vote going in there. Yes, say Google goes higher or Google goes lower. Let's find out, because Google is the one telling you right now, hey, this is as high as I'm supposed to go for this entire week, and it is Monday. So I think this might be an April Fool's, guys. Or at least the probabilities would tell you this is an April Fool's. Let's go with that. Down, let it fall. Yeah, and NVIDIA not able to cross. That would not be the best news for NVIDIA. AMD, just make sure you guys, we're still taking profit. This is a dangerous time, and now we're seeing a huge reaction in TLT. So I'm glad I kind of dropped my my trade on TLT, right? I dropped my trade on TLT. I took a little upside trade right here on TLT, but saw some stuff up here I didn't like. Now it's starting to drop off. Boom, we can create some kind of divergence maybe if we want those yields to come down, but maybe these yields just keep climbing. Look at that move. That should be making the market struggle at this point. So really we want to look at the Qs. The Qs should be selling off with that. Anytime you see a crazy move up in the yields there, you should be seeing the tech stocks start to suffer a little bit, but we're not seeing that yet. VIX is up 5%, 10-year up almost 3%. That's so crazy to me. April is usually always bullish, and that's perfectly fine. We're just stating, hey, yeah, you know, Google's outside of its range. If it's going to continue to be bullish, this just wouldn't be where we want to get in on a trade, right? So now we're saying the weakness can come in throughout the week. Maybe that pulls back down and then curls back up, goes positive again. So that's just how we see it. But it is a point to pay close attention, as you do have a potential double top here. So if you do have a potential, reversal in trend for this SPY, if we break below this level, well, that could put us down lower into negative territory. So we just want to pay attention to that as well. But Google just going way too high, way too fast. Everything is a little weird. You got Apple and Tesla down almost 1%. You got Google's up 2.8, Microsoft up 1.15, Meta up 2%, AMD up 2.5, Nvidia up 1.5. But then you have Apple and Tesla telling you like, nah, man, this is bad. Amazon, you're seeing that whole move fade. We were telling you this 2-hour divergence can still be something to pay attention to, right? We're seeing that break to the upside fade immediately. So that is something to really pay attention to. Amazon, and it could have gone a little bit higher is the crazy point. It didn't even go all the way up to its weekly expected move. So that's kind of wild. But, you really would say, and then IWM, this was a cool little setup, actually. You see the 30-minute divergence for IWM. There's a good little setup here as well. So we have a bunch of little setups. Make sure to like the video for all these setups because they're starting to play out. Even though we're seeing some breaks to the upside, right? We could see that ripped away pretty quickly, right? Microsoft one to really pay attention to as it approaches that weekly expected move just a little bit higher. Well, that would be a test of this high. So we curl up into positive territory on this 2-hour. Well, it looks like we might test that high right away. So if this curls up, we can see that prolonged, right? We can see this go up for quite some time, but this would be outside of that weekly expected move very, very early on in the week. It's a great one to pay attention to. That's all I'll say. Yields are just ripping right now. I can see a case up and down sitting on hands for now, and that's perfectly fine too, right? Something cool about the bear market strategy for the course in there that you're going to get when you learn about these indicators is you can literally sit on your hands, wait for volatility to get above 20. Like you don't have to play any of this mess, just wait for it to get above 20 and then start using the strategy and you'll make plenty. Like it's very, very good. So that's down in the description, guys. $100 just for today. You can thank Bruce for that. Oh God, Reddit's just dumping, huh? Ooh, remember this is why we're not trying to do any plays on Reddit. Negative territory, if you wanted to say anything, negative territory, look how it keeps rolling over on the 5-minute. Boom, 5-minute rolls over, there's a trade. Boom, 5-minute rolls over again. Boom, there's your trade again. So this is the point where I said Reddit would come down into. All right, the last point of liquidity here. But it is a 5-minute chart, guys. There's not much to do on this stock right now. But it's, that's just how these IPOs, that's how all these these stocks that come out and go public, that's how it works. Like they really don't perform well, guys. The girls are playing. Tesla down 1.2% now. That's pretty bad. So now we want to pay attention to the other way. Is Tesla telling us something different? Well, no. Tesla actually has more room to the downside, right? Tesla has plenty of room to the downside. Apple. Let's see if Apple's telling us something different. Nope. Apple has plenty of room to the downside here, guys. Like, there is potential for us to make downward moves in a lot of these stocks this morning. I mean, after these upside moves are really, we'll see what has to happen with them. But you're seeing these come outside of their ranges, right? Things like Google come outside of the range, while the SPY and the Qs look like they want to curl up. But you have Amazon, or you have Apple, you have Tesla. Both of those are really starting to drop down. 1.3% on Tesla, Apple 0.8. So those are two very good stocks that are seeing some pain right now. Tesla going to have some report tomorrow, I think, deliveries, data. Oh, God. So once again, we're going to see some craziness with Tesla. And it's not breaking through any levels, really, on Tesla. Just see if this 30 minutes able to curl up. Then you can see that positivity come in. We're not paying attention to these levels anymore. 180.92 is what we're paying attention to. This is still flagging at this point. Maybe we want to just a long flag, kind of like Mara, and then we see that upward move. So just look for this to curl up and go positive. That could mean there's some positivity left here. Just kind of worrisome to see positivity when something like Google or Microsoft could really start to go this way. Kind of weird to see positivity, but if they get some good news, we can see stocks move around. You really just want to maybe be trading the individuals as the Qs just continue to head up, even with those yields going nuts. Sorry for the hiccups. Typical IPO trade, Carl. You're very, very right. So glad I got out of Reddit while green. Good job. Trading like water, right? Trading like water. Very, very good. That's what we like to see out there. Hey, hope everyone had a good... I can't read that word. It says transitory. I'm gonna slap you. Just kidding. I'm not. No violence, guys. God. Did a swing trade in TSM, easy profit. Yeah, this is the one that people were pointing out to me. One that I don't necessarily pay attention to a ton, but look at that curl up into positive territory here. Looks like we could see a big move here. I'm not saying we can't. We're curling up on a lot of these 2 hours, right? We're seeing those that positivity come in. See if we can roll up on the daily from this maybe, right? There could be a prolonged strong move, maybe going into like earnings or something like that. But I'm just telling you, there are a few stocks that are saying, hey, this is as high as I'm supposed to go. Oh, yeah, okay. We can look at Palantir as well, one that we are keeping an eye on. This one really struggling. It's in negative territory at this point, so be a little careful. But you're coming down into a point where you can see that bounce. The only thing is, I would see if this actually proves itself, right? If we break through this low, maybe come down where that gap support is, right? Come down in this area, boom, we get a reaction for a retest, and then we see that fall again. So good chance that the negative trend is beginning on Palantir. But I just want you to watch the Dow too, guys. Look at the Dow. It is completely different than the SPY and the Qs right now. Double top holding, seeing if that can rip to the downside, right? See if this actually does confirm on the 2 hour, and then we'll watch the daily. If the daily confirms, look at this divergence on the Dow. So the Dow telling you, hey, I got divergence up here. My momentum is weak. And if I roll over, I can start a negative trend. I can start to do this, do this, do this over time. So it's a time to be a little bit cautious in this market because the Dow telling you, hey, I could roll over on this daily. My momentum is dead. Then you got the Qs that are just holding at higher levels, right? So it's a crazy market. I mean, I think you got to pick those individual stocks right now to trade until you actually see, you know, the Qs breaking below the 20 and things like that. Patreon, meet Albert. Thank you for joining the Patreon. Really appreciate you going in there today. Good time to get it, and then most likely today I'll be talking about these stocks on Patreon only, guys. So as we get more members, we can talk about more. We are gonna still talk about Microsoft and stuff, and then we'll probably start to give you those weekly ranges. If we can get 20 new members by next week, we can give you those ranges for Google and Microsoft, and one other stock that we're gonna vote on. So if you guys want to in the chat, if you're part of the Patreon, tell me a stock ticker that you would like to see these weekly ranges for. Tell me what you would like to see it for if you're part of the Patreon. JK, happy. Oh, that's right. Didn't they turn Easter yesterday into a trans day? That was crazy. Like the videos. When's the Discord group? Right now, it's all on Patreon. I'm just too busy to fully keep up with a Discord, but once I get a little bit of help, if we keep growing and you know this community keeps growing, I will put in things that I see helpful. If you guys want to interact with each other on a Discord, then I'll work with you know, someone to get that done. I just might need someone to help manage it. So me and wifey might have to manage it. How much is the Patreon? Rose, the Patreon is only $7 a month. $7 a month. We're going to be putting out a trading video this week for sure on Patreon. I think in April we're going to see a bunch of trade setups. So as we go into more of a negative trend, I will be putting out more and more videos, because once you get towards where volatility is a little higher, you see way more little trade setups. Apparently it's been around for 10 years. Apparently this year it just fell on Easter Sunday. That's okay. I don't care. Everyone can have their day. Who cares? SPY is starting to sink. Q's starting to drop off. So the SPY, we want to see, does this confirm? Does this confirm, guys? Amazon, I would just say, like, just this is a setup here. I would say not even you don't have to do 1 hour. You can look at the 2 hour, look at this fading down. You have the divergence on a 2 hour. So now you have the potential for that weakness on the daily scale, right? The daily curled up, now it's curling back down. So you're getting that rejection. This was green for a moment here. So now you're getting that rejection. I would say taking a position up here makes sense, right? Especially if you're paying attention to this divergence on the 2 hour. You're seeing that confirm as of right now. So at first you were saying, hey, the daily says we're going to skyrocket. Now you're seeing, oh, now it's going the other way, starting to rip down. So that's something to pay attention to. Let's see if Google still hasn't lost anything there. Microsoft, it's lost a little bit. Okay, so this hasn't curled up on the 2 hour. Remember, Microsoft was the one where the momentum was really telling you, hey, there is downside potential here. So that's something to pay attention to. But I'd say Amazon, it makes total sense for the 2 hour. I would like to say, if you're taking the course, like, I'm not going to say, oh, this has to crash by Friday. This could do this, then it could do this, then it could do this, then it could go sideways, and then you're ruined by Friday, right? So what you want to do is take something a little further out, see a big drop, get your 100% right there, and then be out of the trade. That's at least how I would look at it. I still trade this very quickly, even on the way down. I'm not holding anything too long. There's tons of trade setups in a bear market. So I know that in a bear market, I'm at least going to get like 1 or 2 trades a week. Traveling or extended the vacation, still fool's hour, be cautious with trades. Yeah, and that's the point. Like, fool's hour, really, it's getting some people on Amazon, right? Big, strong bar, looking like it wanted to curl up on the daily, ripped away. Right around 9:15, this thing started to boom down. So that's something to pay attention to. AMD, this thing, right, ripped up. Now it's ripping back down. So, maybe we want to look at a shorter time frame here. Look at a 30-minute as it's positive. It's in positive territory, right? We're in positive territory, but we could get rejected at any point. So pay attention if that 2 hour wants to curl down, because that could mean more negativity, right? We said, right, we could come up to this area. Maybe we're coming up a little bit lower. Maybe this is where we're actually going to confirm by setting up a little bit lower price action for a little bit. That's what I'm saying about Google too. I'm not open to this going higher. I just think this is a point to pay attention for some weakness to come in, and then we curl back up in positive territory. So good little trade setup here. And Netflix, yeah, we were paying attention to this. We saw the 30-minute divergence up into here. We see the 2 hour kind of rolling over, going negative with all these divergences across the board. So we're seeing that weakness. You guys know my price target for Netflix was about, I think it was like 630. So we were able to come up to that area. It might have been a little bit lower. It might have been right here around 622. But we hit my price target. Now we're seeing those divergences prove. See if that's able to roll over. Did it roll over the daily? Yes, it did. So you could say there is potential for more weakness here, especially if you keep closing below the 20-day moving average. Mara testing all of its daily moving averages right now. Daily scale getting rejected, I guess, from the 20 on AMD, right? We're getting rejected. So really just pay attention. If this closes below all of these moving averages again, I'd be pretty confident to say that 2 hours rolled over. We're going to go to lower prices. We might even head all the way down towards this point here. That could be very, very important. 162, 162, 163 right in there. So as of right now, yes, this is a good move up. It's not able to hold. Maybe it needs to consolidate for a little bit on a 15-minute, right? Maybe it needs to consolidate a little bit first. Let's go see if the SPY is confirming that as of now. Not confirming of the divergence up here. You got 2-hour divergence on ExxonMobil, and I would just be very cautious with this guy, right? Because the daily's up in no man's land. It's been there for a while. Now you're seeing that 2-hour divergence. The most likely move here is we're going to see some kind of pullback, right? We don't want to say anything too bearish at this point. It could just be some kind of pullback, but that pullback might be a little bit more dramatic, right? This thing just stair-stepping all the way up. Now we could see some kind of significant pullback. Where would we go? Well, look for points of liquidity, look for points of support. So somewhere in this area right here would be where I would pay attention. You see all these touches of these highs, touches of these highs, touches of this one here, touches of these lows. So you can just draw a little line across. You can even just, do this type of thing, match these highs, boom. You see across the board. Well, we have support there, support there, support there, support there, support there, resistance, 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 resistance. We break through, boom, big move up. So I would say a price point of 104 seems pretty fair for Exxon to pull all the way back to in order to head higher. But till that actually happens, I mean, that's just where I would say the most likely lowest potential is for Exxon on this overall move. Tesla almost down 2%. Tesla at 1.97. My goodness. That is crossing over down, on the 2-hour, possibly, gonna head down, man. I mean, this looks like we were drawing this up as a flag. If this starts to break through here, we're crossed down, we go negative. You can see this thing dump. Good morning, baby girl. Yeah, she's up and awake. She was very, very tired last night. After Easter, there was a lot of things going on for Easter. She got held by a lot of family members. So she was studying everyone's face, and that must have made her pretty tired. Really, I'm surprised Google's still holding up this strong. You really thought that would fade throughout the day. See if that thing continues. All right, let's go watch the SPY just for a little bit this morning. Let's keep it on there while we just chat back and forth. How about that? Because I just want to see if this 2-hour proves itself, right? The volatility already said, yeah, I'm going higher. It's up almost 6% today. Kind of wild. UVXY is still flat. So if you're trading UVXY as your hedge, it's still flat at this point. And that's just because the SPY hasn't lost anything. All right, so the SPY has to lose some price action here for the UVXY to go up. But it's cool to see a lot of people taking that course over the weekend. I'm interested to see if anyone has has any part that they really, really enjoyed. Upside USD is about to reach. That is something to worry about. Oh, the US versus the yen, or the dollar versus the yen, or something like that. I mean, the way I would just read into the dollar is look at this skyrocketing over time. Like honestly, you could side by side this and just be like, what the heck is going on, right? Because I just want to show you guys like the difference here, right? So here, the dollar bases out and starts heading higher. Well, that means that this around this point actually should have dropped off fairly significantly. Then we should be getting that flag right around this area, and then we see that drop again, right? So that's what I would say, but that didn't happen. Instead, we're seeing this go up while this goes up, right? We're still going up. Guess what? Dollar drops off, we get more positivity, and then the dollar keeps going up from here. We get a little pullback, boom, more positivity. This is why you should be very worried. The dollar should be really worrying you. And that's why I'm like, whoever just said, I'm going to just sit on my hands until I see, the volatility actually kick up, and then I can trade back and forth with some bigger price action. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with that. That makes total sense. Big move in the dollar. SPY still not reacting. This is why we can see a sudden drop, because it hasn't reacted to all this technically selling. A lot of people holding the dollar means that the insiders are selling. Google is defying gravity right now, man. Google up 2.8, almost 3% outside of its weekly expected move. So kind of wild, maybe something to pay attention to as people are liking the video. I see you guys liking over there. look at those monthlies, right? So I'm going to look at the monthly for Google, and we have a little bit more room to the upside for Google if we're looking at a monthly, but you would say this is getting really, really excited on a Monday morning. It's been an hour of trading, and Google's outside of its range, right? So, so really got to pay attention to that because Google's outside of its range, like first thing in the morning. All right, SPY finally going red here. Let's see if this is able to break down. The thing with the SPY is, I mean, it has a decent expected move, right? So it's from this bar here. Decent expected move. Looks like about 5% up or 5% down, maybe. Wait, am I wrong on that? Or is that 1%? I think it's 1.5%. Yeah, 1% up or 1% down. I would expect a bigger expected move. That's what I would say, especially where the dollar's at and all that. So it tells you maybe there's a lot of fear sucked out of this. If we start to see some kind of collapse, look for that bottom side of the weekly to act like resistance because this is a very, very small range. Now we could just see some kind of selling and then, curl back up. We just pay attention if this 2-hour curls back up into positive. But if we start to see something dramatic happen, that's what I would pay attention to for the SPY. As the dollar just skyrockets, as the 10-year yield just skyrockets, as TLT drops off, like it's just kind of crazy out there. And we see some calls coming in. So maybe something we can do for some fun right now. Look at some Max Payne, which if you guys want, we could put a video about Max Payne up on the course as well. I didn't even think about that, but because Max Payne, it's usable, but I don't want you to put too much into it. Overall, you can use it as some points to pay attention to. So on the SPY, we can look at the end of this week and say, okay, well, our first big call wall at 527, first big put wall at 510. Okay, so our put wall's at 510. That's pretty low, right? It's all the way down here. That's what I would say there. I guess if you want to say this is a put wall at 520, you could say that. So maybe we want to pay attention to 520, at least today. That would make some sense. Now let's look at the Qs. And let's make sure to go over the chart while we're looking at the Qs, right? As of today, you have a big put wall at 444. So 444, big put wall. Your call wall is 445. I'd say 452, right? So a little bit higher up there. Let's see what the end of the week has in store for us. Oh my gosh, people are bearish on the Qs, guys. People are very bearish on the Qs. We are seeing a 3.2395 put to call ratio on the Qs. That's pretty wild. We have a lot of people calling 425, 430, and then 435 are the three, but 425 is a huge one. My goodness. Now something we could maybe look at. Well, Google's outside of its weekly expected move. Where's Google got some resistances heading up? Well, right now it's trading at 156-ish, right? 156.50. We had calls up at 155, so maybe these people start to take profit. It's very early in the week. 141, another call wall there, but we have 130, a huge put wall. Okay, so a lot of calls for Google going forward. Another one maybe to pay attention to was Amazon, actually. I think Amazon would be a good one to look at. Amazon, huge call wall at 185. Huge call wall at 185. So let's see where that headed to. Well, it headed up towards 185 and then dropped off. You actually had another call wall at 180. So above 180 here, boom, those people see a big move. They take their profit. That's all that could be. Put wall, slight put wall at 175. So something to pay attention to there. Not the most put call volume here. My UVXY is flexing. Yeah, it shouldn't be moving right now though, unless the volatility actually, unless the volatility takes over and the SPY actually drops. So most of the time with UVXY, you gotta see the SPY see some weakness in order to see an actual upward move in UVXY. Just reduce some risk and close some less than 30-day calls. Hey, solid. Easy money after announcing 250 million worth of shares ready for an offering. Oh yeah, AMC. I actually want to look at this. I know this was the meme stocks, right? Whew. That thing rolling down. Okay, so one cool part about these negative trends is literally like almost every single time you see a curl over, into negative territory, you can usually take some kind of trade. Now, I would say maybe a divergence is setting up right in the future, but this looks wonky, guys. I don't think this looks good at all. We could see, we could be seeing some very bad things for AMC going forward. And most likely you're going to see YouTubers out there like, this is the big moment for AMC. That's all I ever see about AMC is this is the big moment every single week. And I'm like, this is probably not the big moment. Oh, Microsoft, this is really what you guys want to see. I mean, look at that. If you're just saying, hey, from a risk to reward perspective, okay, well, this ain't looking good. We have triple divergence up here, so. Nice job, Willow. Remember, take that profit early, guys. There's always going to be another trade throughout this kind of market. At least that's what I do. Oh, okay. Tesla breaking down, crossing on the 2 hour. There's your signal for lower prices and not even negative yet. That is a sell-off if I've ever seen one. That is bad. So now you have the potential for left head. Maybe we come down into here, get that right shoulder. We'll have to see. Yeah, it's diamond hands. Too bad. If only diamond hands were worth diamonds at this point. They're not. Diamond hands are fake diamonds at this point. No offense to you AMC guys out there, but AMC going to what? Like how far has this gone now? Is it $3? Yeah, $3. My God, yeah. I would say it's very hard to fool the market makers twice. The people who are trying to absolutely short this, very hard to fool them twice. So I highly, highly, highly doubt we are going to see AMC see some kind of squeeze. Very highly doubt that. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So they ain't gonna get fooled again, most likely. Google doesn't want to turn down. Where do you think the Dow will stop? The fudge is my Dow. Where the Dow would stop, most likely you want to look for those points of liquidity, right? So anywhere in this zone down here, I know that's kind of a big zone. So what I would say is maybe this level right here. I would look at this right here. I would just point out these points of liquidity. Most of the time, I would just say this. If this drops off, we see a bounce and it drops off again, we just look for 30-minute divergence. That's the most likely area where it will get a bounce, right? When you see those divergences and things like that, that's the most likely time to actually see that bounce. Dealer's hands because we trade like water. That's right. We're in control right now. That's the best part about trading like water. You are in control the whole way. You're in control the entire time. So right now you're seeing, oh, we saw a big move upward, but I'm going to take some calls. Oh, now I'm seeing the SPY curl down. I'm seeing volatility pop. So now maybe I need to look for some downside plays. Well, the good part is there's some downside plays. There's some upside. Tesla down 3%, guys. 3%. The downside plays, I mean, you got Microsoft showing a bunch of divergences. You got Google showing you a big upward move early on in the week. You got AMD starting to fade back down. If that just curls over on the 2 hour, heading lower. You got Nvidia trying to curl up, but on the 30-minute, looks like it might want to curl down towards that center line, right? It's right at that center line. So you have a lot of different options. And then if you wanted to say, oh, no, it's going to go higher, well, look for Apple to curl back up. Look for Tesla. Don't look for Tesla. don't look for Tesla. But thank you guys as always for liking and subscribing. You guys are fantastic. Remember, we'll be here every single morning of this week. A very good week to pay attention. I'm going to say very good month to be paying attention to stocks on the daily. It really is. It's a very, very good time to pay attention because April is going to be different from March. March, I said, was going to be very trappy. April, I'm thinking we could get 1 or 2 traps and then it's all over. Do I think Nvidia will drop below 900 today? Probably not, to be honest. I mean, you got to see this 30-minute. It looks like it wants to hold up. Maybe if it gets some kind of news or something like that. You can be patient. You can just see this 30-minute rollover go negative, and then you'll see that negative move. Kind of like AMD back here, right? We saw it break down, try to hold up at higher levels. It builds up towards that center line. then we see that drop off, and we see that more negativity comes in, right? We see that build up, drop down, build up, drop down, build up, drop down. We'll see. But yeah, I would just, you guys, you want to be patient, react. Don't try to predict what NVIDIA is going to do, right? We want to just see, okay, 30-minute curled over. I'm going to take a little chance here. Curled over. Going to break this low. Maybe it tests something like 855, 855 to 840. Okay, so once I get down to that level, I know, okay, that was my trade. I'm done. Got Google finally pushing down a little, hoping for it to go red today. Let's see. Google finally wanting to curl down just a tiny bit. You still have multiple point divergences all across here, right? We have multiple point here. We still have the divergence here. Don't necessarily have it right here. You have a little flat one here. You have one here. So you still have that potential to roll over. This could be your a trap as of today, as we are outside of that weekly expected move, which we're going to be adding Google to the Patreon very, very soon, guys. We need about 20 more people on Patreon, and then boom, you guys will get Google, you'll get Microsoft, and if there's one stock that you really want to see those weekly expected moves for, you can put it in the chat right now, and I'll pay attention to those, write them down, and see if we can have a little vote on Patreon for which one we give the weekly expected move. Maybe if I like all of them, I'll give it for all of them. So no harm in putting your stock out there, as long as it's not some penny stock or something. John Duran, TNA. Dang, oh my god. Oh my god. Are you kidding me? This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. I don't think it's necessarily trappy. I think there will be one or two traps. I think that the party's about to end. To be totally honest with you, KB, I think the party's going to end. So last month I said it would be traps. We were right. We caught a lot of those traps. We did very, very well in March, honestly. We did very, very well with calling our stuff. The reason I'm saying this is going to be less, I think there's maybe one or two traps left, is because of Microsoft. I really do like to use these individual stocks to find tops and bottoms in the market. Apple was one that we found the bottom. Okay, so Apple gave us the bottom with a triple divergence. That's how we knew we were going to get this huge run since October. Now, it exceeded my expectations, but I did think we were going to all-time highs where we were going to see traps form. And now we're seeing that keep extending. So it's just getting worse and worse. Right now we're getting tighter and tighter. But Microsoft's showing you the same signal the other way. Look at this, same exact signal as Apple to see a huge bullish run to all-time highs. Now you're seeing Microsoft give you the opposite signal, which last time we saw this signal, we went to all-time highs from October. So now you have to say, are we about to hit new lows? And by new lows, I mean, are we going to start to take the stair stepper down over time, right? Do something like this. Come to these points of liquidity to keep grabbing those bounces, right? Dead cat bounce, dead cat bounce, dead cat. You know, that's overall what I'm saying. I'm just overall saying like a correction makes sense. Even if we just pulled down to something like this in this area, then we extend all the way into like summer, all the way into May, something like that. But really, this is just a point to pay attention. Why I think it's going to be less trappy. I think you might get one more, and then that might be ripped away. So I think one or two more traps and this thing might be done. Google's still not selling off very well, honestly. At least the SPY actually going negative, potential to cross over on this MACD, give you that double top. VIX already told you it was double top. Yeah, Mara dropping down to lower levels, selling off from that zone we were talking about. It's pretty awesome what Mara did, right, when we were talking about this live. Pretty awesome, because we were like, this looks like a flag, and now it's going to go up into a sell zone and then sell off. Guess what? The flag proves, pops up, goes into the sell zone, and guess what? Now it sells off. So boom, selling off, curling down, negative territory right below you on the 2-hour here. You had a little trade set up on the 30-minute, little big divergence across the way here between where we started creating the flag and the point here. So good little entry right here for a trade. Even right here was the good entry. This is where I would most likely be in. Boom, make my money. 2-point move on a stock that's worth $23 is pretty good, right? We're going to see some good profit from that move. Qs, there's a way up, there's a way down. The thing that I would pay attention to here is just rolling over, going negative on the 30-minute. Genuinely, it's that simple. Now I just wanted to show how we're still close to that center line. 30-minute can just roll over. So to the upside, you want to see a 2-hour curl up, go positive. To the downside, you want to see 30-minute go negative. So you're at a point where it's like, okay, if the 30-minute rolls over, then the 2-hour is going to reject. If the 2-hour, if with the 30-minute doesn't roll over and the 2-hour confirms, we can see more positivity. That's how I would say it. So you're kind of at a point where you just want to watch for the next hour or so and really just watch the 30 minutes, see if that's able to curl over and go negative. Not wick or anything like that, right? Not curl down, curl right back up really fast, right? We want to see some negative bar, maybe a little bounce in here, and then see this broken. But you can still see the way up, way down, right? Big left, head. Maybe this is still carving out that right shoulder. This is the area where that right shoulder would form, right? This area right here is very, very good to pay attention to. We could just be making a right shoulder. So really pay attention if this goes negative. Oh, yeah. And this is the small caps, this is the bull, right? The bull one. Okay, so small caps on the bull side, this is going to really drop off. IWM, you don't necessarily want to use that big 3x leverage, but I just wanted to point out, this is on IWM, the 30-minute divergence here. 30-minute divergence, does it roll over the 2-hour? Well, it's very well might very soon, so we could see something like this happen, then we break down lower. So looks like this is telling you, hey, there's weakness here. Tesla telling you weakness. Apple telling you weakness. Google telling you, hey, I'm way too excited. Google's way too excited about my dog Bruce's birthday today. That's what it is. So there's potential weakness here. We can go look at volatility. That thing's starting to still gain some steam. See if this daily is able to roll up. This week could be very important. Maybe Google's giving us that last trap of 2024. Remember, volatility can come back in very quickly. I wanted to show you guys the weekly, show you how tight this is on the weekly. Boom, we start to break to the upside. This is not going to be good news, right? We haven't seen that extreme pop in volatility just yet. See if the weekly can go positive. But the daily has to go positive first, so be patient. Wait for this kind of stuff. We easily could come up into this area, see that fade back down, get a little bit tighter, make another 2-hour divergence, and then we see that come up, you know, going on into next week. I still think there's potential for one more solid trap in April before this is ripped away. But hey, I'm totally open for lower prices right away. Totally open to that. But in order to see lower prices, like I would say a correction or a bigger pullback, you got to lose the 20. So once we lose the 20 on the SPY, then you could say, okay, we'll head to the 50. Well, where would that line up? Well, if we come down to here, the monthly expected move for the SPY is right down here. So for all of April, 506, 50, 53 is what you want to pay attention to. So if we see a dramatic move like this before CPI, we actually could get a bounce in this area. So just be a little bit careful that week or this week. 32 billion in equities to rebalance their positions. And yeah, this is rebalancing time as well. So we have to pay attention to that. That's why we want to pay attention to this just being some kind of pullback. But at this point, I'm just saying at this point, if these yields are ripping, then you'd have to say maybe this isn't just a pullback. If these are really just ripping, look at that. It's about to cross. It's about to break through these highs. We had the double top here, not proving right now because it's starting to curl back up and, sorry about that, starting to curl back up in positive territory. Very, very worrisome sign going into today. Hey, Skylar Harper, thank you so much for joining the Patreon. Really appreciate you being in there. We are one step closer to having Microsoft and Google on those weekly ranges, on those monthly ranges, and daily ranges every single Friday, guys. Remember that. Bruce, are you chewing stuff? Bruce likes to chew stuff. Make sure he's... Did you get your new toy? Get a new bone. Oh, good boy. He's so excited. He's just chewing one of those non-breakable toys or whatever. But I'll tell you what, we should make a business called like Bruce's unbreakable toys because he still is able to tear through all these toys. You guys ever had a pit bull before? Yeah. He breaks through a lot of these toys, guys. All my puts green except for Google, like a damn bobber doesn't want to pull down. And that's true. But just so you know, like a lot of the time the stocks that do this, when you're seeing some very big volatility come in, remember, volatility goes both ways. So if this big move goes this way, volatility remains high, you can see another big move this way. So pay attention to that, but you're just seeing, look at this, daily divergence here on the MACD, on RSI. If we start to roll over from here, it's going to mean lower prices for Google coming soon. Bully them toys, Bruce. That's exactly what he does. You got time. Good man. Good man, DB. Take a few, give yourself some time. Let that price action play out, you know? That's what I do. Take like a month out and just chill for a sec. It's okay if it makes another move higher. Maybe I scale in. Maybe I get out. Maybe I get right back in. You know, there's options for these kinds of things. AMD starting to really come down, guys. Not looking the best for AMD, seeing that move fade. But we're still in the same spot. Like, that's one thing you got to say. We're still in the same exact spot. I just want to see if this 2 hour rolls over. That's it. 2 hour rolls over. Most likely hit something like 162 down in this area here. Fill this gap. See what happens from there. Maybe you could create some kind of divergence so we see positivity in the future. Unbreakable dog toys is probably a great YouTube idea. Yeah, dog YouTube channels do very, very well. All right, let's go back over to the SPY. We're on a 2 hour. See if this is able to confirm. We got 38 minutes left in this bar. See if the next one's able to confirm it. Today's been a blessing. Phantom, I'm glad. It sounds like you're doing well today. So congratulations. Congratulations to anyone who's had a good trade. And just make sure we're trading like water out there. We can always get back into another trade. There's plenty of trade setups. There's even one on the SPY right in front of you with the 2 hour. You just might want to take a little bit more time out, as this could take some time to head to lower levels. But when you do see a signal like this, you know, a lot of the time it'd be okay to target the bottom of the weekly. Now, I like my setups to be down towards the weekly, right? Early on in the week, that's mainly what I do, at least when things are volatile. And like we can say, you know, things aren't that volatile. Well, volatility's creeping back up. Volatility's really starting to creep back up, so we got to pay attention to that. VVIX getting a little pop there. HYG really dropping off. Let's see what those yields look like. Holy crap. Holy crap. Very glad I got out of my TLT trade right here. Now I'm still holding it down at 82.50, but that's perfectly fine. Comfortable with that. Seeing if some kind of divergence can set up for me this week. Maybe I'll pay. I do give the weekly ranges for TLT, by the way, and they actually work decently well. I would say that. So we're outside of the weekly expected move for TLT. We're almost towards the monthly expected move for TLT. So are we going to see this turn around maybe with some kind of 2 hour divergence this week? We'll see. But as of right now, you got to say volatility is going higher. These yields are popping off. We got the SPY not really selling off. The Q's not selling off really. I mean, I know we got this wick, but you'd expect some weakness out of the Q's when you're seeing the yields just pop like that. So kind of worrisome to see even more of these correlated things not playing out the way they're supposed to. I mean, shoot, the dollar's up again by more than the SPY is down today. Again. Like, again. It's been happening for like months. BTC. Okay, so this is where you can pay attention to Mara. Remember, Bitcoin's what I posted on Patreon. But once you see that rejection come in, you immediately have to look the other way. Okay, so we can pull up a 4 hour here. You immediately have to look the other way. Okay, curled up positive territory, right? This is what we were posting. But you see that just double top right away and head down. Okay, so we posted this somewhere around here like, hey, this could curl up. Maybe we break through. But immediately you see double top. You see the steep divergence. This is why trading like water is such a good piece of advice. Boom. You see this, you're immediately like, oh, I need to sell here. This crossed over. Okay, boom, it broke through the structure. Now I have double top. Okay, this could go lower. This could actually go back down into this point down here. So this is where trading like water should really help. How's Tesla looking? Tesla looks awful. I'm just being totally honest there, guys. This looks like garbage. Like even the 4 hour, I don't even use a 4 hour on regular stocks, but my God, if that curls over, we're going towards 154.78 probably. 2 hour already curled over, negative territory right below you. It just does not look good until you want to see maybe your weekly ranges, right? So when a stock looks really, really bad, it doesn't mean it has to keep going down forever. You just want to pay attention to where the weekly range is. That's where Patreon will really help you. You know that weekly range is actually down towards this gap fill. Okay, so somewhere around this gap fill comes that weekly range in order. So this is where I would expect Tesla to maybe get some kind of bounce or consolidation to head lower. So you don't want to say, oh, this has to bounce from here. You would just say, this is where I could maybe target. But in order to target those levels, you really want to join the Patreon, guys. You want to make sure to have the exact levels because of things like Meta and things like that, right? I think it was this one right here, right? So if you took the play like I did, 30-minute divergence up in this area, hey, I took that play. The next week, I hit that bottom side of the weekly expected move. Boom, that's where I take my profit. I go, this is all that this options market has priced in for the entire week. It happened on a Monday. Therefore, I'm out because this is most likely to bounce. We get a bounce. You have a little bit of like hidden divergence down here probably, but a possible double bottom. Boom, we see that rip back up, cross positive territory. Boom, see that move higher. So you're always trading like all water, always flipping back and forth, always thinking about when to take profit. When to take profit. If you see something hit its weekly expected move very early on in the week, take profit. That's just my personal advice. It's something that we say on the course, but Google this curled up, right? Curled up probably on an hourly, a 30-minute. Boom, we see that explosive move. We knew an explosive move was coming because it's tight. Boom, it explodes higher. This is outside of its weekly expected move. So therefore, I'm like, oh, okay, taking some off the table now. I'm taking some off the table because the risk is it could come all the way down like this before we see another push higher. And I don't want to be eaten alive. I'd rather take some green here. I'd rather take some money instead of try to wait for something crazy to happen. No, I'm playing the slow game. The best way to make money in the market, fastest way to make money in the market is the slow way. The monthly move Uniworld Tech, that is on Patreon, but for TLT, I'll give it to you here. You were nice asking live, so I appreciate you being here. As long as you like the video, you tell me right now, did you like the video? If you liked the video, I'll give it to you real quick. We'll give you that TLT monthly range, all right? Make sure to think about joining Patreon if you're really using these monthly ranges, though. 91.58 for the TLT. So just a little bit lower, right? 91.58, just down in this area here, we could see that start to base out and then see a reaction. The thing about this is the Fed might have to react if this keeps going up, right? If we actually hit 91.58, you're talking about breaking through this 4.362. You're talking about breaking through that right now. That would really put the banks under pressure. We very well might see that banking crisis in April. We very well could. Or we're going to not be told about it, told, hey, we have to cut those rates. It's all good now. Boom. Maybe they say, oh, CPI came out good for the market, so we are going to cut rates. They announce the rate cut, and then we see the market actually go up a little longer. But then when those rate cuts actually happen, we go into a banking crisis or something like that too. So this is very, very bad. It puts the Fed in a very tough spot. We're right back up in the area where the Fed is in a very tough spot. And we're up in 1 day. 1 freaking day. That is so nuts. Like, look at the dollar. Like, if anything should just be scaring you out to some upside, it'd be the dollar here. Ray Laporte, thank you so much for joining. Uniworld, I got your back, man. I appreciate you. I know you show up pretty often, so, you know, I like to give back to you guys, at least when you show up. But think about joining that Patreon. Thoughts and ideas on NVIDIA. Remember when everyone was expecting 6 or 7 rate cuts this year? Now we're down to 2 or 3. We're down to like 1. We're about to be down to 1 if this thing keeps moving up. That is very bad. That means everyone thinks inflation is, or at least the bond market is telling you like, hey, we need to raise rates. Inflation is still here. No reason we shouldn't be at 100 plus likes by now. Smash the thumb, y'all. Thank you, DB Trades, for saying that. Appreciate you being here, buddy. Thoughts and ideas on NVIDIA. NVIDIA is still, guys, you just want to be trading like water. There's an option up. There's an option down. Right now, the option down is probably looking a little juicy, right? We're a wonky flag, but what do we do when we start to see a negative trend? We see a breakdown. What do we do from there on the MACD? Well, we creep up towards the center line, and then once we get to that center line, we make a decision. Do we go up? Do we go down? The way you know you're going down crosses over on that MACD. Well, then you're going to see lower prices. You're going to break this low, and you're probably going to go down towards something like 855 to 840, somewhere in there. So that's my take on this. If you see the 30-minute roll down, probably 840 to 855, somewhere in that zone, we're going to see a bounce. But if we see this keep rolling up, right, if this wick and this is just nothing, even though I would say the potential for downside here is probably a little higher, but still want to be open to both ways. This market has been very trappy, and I think there's a few traps left. So if I don't see that 30-minute rollover and we keep going positive, if this 2-hour crosses up, I can test this high. I can go make a new one. Maybe I want to hit 1,000. I can tell you the weekly expected move for NVIDIA might be somewhere up in here, guys. So if we see that 2-hour cross up, that's where I would be targeting. AMD fading all the way back. God dang it, guys. AMD just makes me angry these days. It's sat in the same zone forever, and now it's like, all right, let's go right back into that zone. Now, there is potential here for this to be some kind of retest. Maybe this is just the wonkiest head and shoulders we've ever seen. Left head. Maybe it's forming a right shoulder. I don't want to put too much into that. Mainly with AMD, 2-hour curls into positive territory. This one's different from NVIDIA. I thought it was very similar. If this curls down, you're going to break this level, head lower. Because look, what do we do? What do we do on the MACD when we see a negative trend? We break down, we crawl up on the MACD towards the center line, and then we cross. This is the type of stuff that we can learn about how important this area actually is on the course, guys. It really is. It's such a good point in the course. It's literally when I had a couple of friends take it to see if they thought the information was helpful. I wanted it to be as helpful as possible before I put it out there. I had some friends take it, and they were like, wow, the things you said about the MACD actually changed my whole perspective on it. They're like, wow, this is insane. And they don't even trade regularly. They just invest, but they use it for their investment. It's pretty crazy. But I appreciate all you guys just being here today. That's the first thing. Let's look around at some stuff. Meta, starting to see that fade. Let's look at Google. Let's see what's happening there. Still nothing really on Google. Able to cross positive territory. 28 minutes left on this move. Q's really fading here. You'd have to say, let me look at a daily. What's this bar look like? Okay, if we start to close below the 5 here, it could be all bets are off. Really want to pay attention, though, if we lose the 20, right? We want to lose that 20. Then it would be like, okay, we lose the 20 this week. We come down into this area by Thursday. We pop up and retest that 20. And then we see that drop back down. Then around this area, we can talk about maybe some kind of bounce. Maybe if we want to just bounce off the 50, right, that would kind of line up with our weekly expected move. Maybe we see that go up into next week. But you just got to be careful next week as CPI is right here. And we're seeing a big move higher. If the bond market knows something that we don't, then the bond market's saying, yeah, inflation is bad. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about... Oops, sorry, I just pulled up my my computer health gauge. Who's not here today? Where's Family Adventures? I always see him in here. That's who I'm thinking. I missed the PMI. How was it? Came in hot. ISM manufacturing PMI came in hot, and like a good amount hot. Like not just like one higher. No, it was like 3.5 higher. That's ooh, you can see the reaction, right? But you want to see that reaction. Well, you're seeing that reaction in volatility, right? But we want to see that reaction in the SPY. You really want to see that reaction in the SPY and the Qs, especially the Qs with that. You'd have to expect to see something here. Now, one thing to pay attention to with these Bollinger Bands, right? Pay attention if this starts to cross, right? That usually means we're going to test bottom Bollinger. But do we spread it out and see something dramatic happen? We'll have to see. Just subscribe to the Patreon. Let me go look so I can say thank you. Thank you, Jeremiah, for joining the Patreon. Really appreciate you being here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'll be probably putting out a video tonight, actually during market hours today. So we're going to go for about another hour here today. So make sure we're asking questions if you guys have any questions around course, Patreon, anything like that. Or if you just want me to check out a certain stock, I'm down to click around a little bit right now. This is the main thing to pay attention to in the overall market. The whole market, I know this is crazy to say, but this is right here, probably one of the most important things to watch today. This could be, this is the type of signal you see in a top. Okay, you really do. This is the type of thing you see in a top. Now, is that going to be a short-term top? We base out, we do this, we curl right back up. That's what we can talk about in the future. But right now, this is what you see at a short-term top. It really is. Oh man, I need to do my shoulder rehab. If you guys didn't know, I've dislocated like both my shoulders. Your take on coin? Okay, let's look at coin first, and then Robert, I'll get to it, all right? Where's my coin at? Coin reacts based on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is seeing downward pressure, then you bet your butt, like coin's gonna see some downward pressure. Now, remember, this is one that we actually talked about last week. We said, look at this 2-hour divergence up here right before this week came, right? So Monday, we were seeing this divergence start to form, seeing that confirm. Now we can see if that daily is rolling over. Well, look at that. That daily is rolled over. You have a slight divergence at this level too. So you'd have to say a retest of the 20 is very probable. As this has gone up so far without testing the 50 in a while, right? We tested it back in February. Maybe we do get a test all the way down to the 50. A lot of these daily divergences do create the potential to go negative, which would tell you if this wants to go negative, well, then it's probably going to break down, maybe even down to the 200. Okay, so this is a very worrisome sign. As you're seeing the dollar pop, you're seeing Bitcoin drop off pretty dramatically right here, rejecting the cross, right? We pay attention. Those rejections are crazy and can be even worse than divergences. Why? Because you don't even get that upward push, so you're even closer to negative territory. Bitcoin can go negative here. This could be the top for Bitcoin, to be totally honest. Little 2-hour divergences up here. 4-hour divergence should have told you to go the other way on this thing. Short Lulu. This one here, bunch of divergences across the way. Probably just want to pay attention to a daily here. You're seeing the rejection, okay? The rejection here, kind of a big deal. You have a kind of a wonky left. You got the head a little bit higher, and you got this right shoulder. You start to break below 735.50. You're going to be going negative, and this thing could come fill this gap. This thing could come fill this gap. So we could head towards that 200. You're very, very tight. So if you explode to the downside, this is going to spread out. Look, when we got tight right here, what happened? Boom. Okay, now we're tight in here. What happens? Boom. Could very well happen. Let's do Lulu first. We can look through Lulu real quick. Oh, not a good look, Lulu. Oh God, not a good look for you. So, but this is a very good lesson here, right? I don't trade around these earnings because I don't know what number is going to happen. You don't know what number is going to happen. This looked pretty good. Curl up, positive territory above the 200. Everything about this from a swing trading perspective told you, hey, there's upside here. The good part is we are traders who know more than just how to swing trade. We know that earnings is a 50-50 shot, and therefore I got a buy signal. I'm going positive. Look at that fake out. Boom. We just skyrocket down here. So this point here, very important. You're below the 200. So that is very, very sketch. But you can see, what do? We break down. We curl up towards the center line. Boom. We pop down again, negative territory. So 2-hour here. Really, what's going to most likely happen here? I'm just going to tell you what's most likely going to happen because there's not a lot of price action down here. Most likely this keeps dawdling, even going down or even slightly up, right, like this, and then we get close to that center line and we drop again. Okay, I'm just going to say that. Most likely this is going to be in store where we do something like this, or even something like this, and then we just see it curl down, negative territory, boom, it hits another low. Then you can look for a divergence at that point, but you're below the 200 on the daily scale, so be a little bit careful with that one. PHM. So this guy here, no real divergences on the 2-hour, but I think on the daily we're going to see some. Okay, so we had one divergence that tried to play out, didn't work out. between these levels here, right? This high up here, this high here. But you're making another point of divergence, and you have a flatness as of right now on the daily. So you do have those divergences all along this. This can easily drop to this very quickly, $100 very quickly. See that bounce. Look at this head and shoulders that could pop up. So now the shorter time frames, 2 hour not really showing divergence. I really like a 2 hour divergence before I think about anything. But you do have a 30-minute in here, and you have a 30-minute in the nearest price action for a double top up here. So how this would want to break down, well, now we're going to take that stair step. We're going to do this maybe, then we're going to do this, then we're going to get a bigger bounce and come down lower. So I would just show you 2 hour divergence on the RSI over here, 2 hour or a 30-minute divergence on the MACD and RSI at the same time. That can roll over your 2 hour. What's your 2 hour doing? It's about to roll over. So see if that's able to go negative, then you want to pay attention to those daily charts. Yeah, Lulu, it's I don't stick with Lulu very often. Nike, this one just keeps falling off a cliff. I would say let's look at it on a daily scale. Sure, you might be setting up some kind of bounce here. You might, but you're below the 200. You cross over negative territory. Look at this. Like, this is how simple markets can be. You're below the 200. All right, I cross over and went negative right here. What does that mean? I'm either going to test this low or go make a new one. What do? Well, we make a new one. So if you take a month or 2 month out play, you could be down here in this position, got your position up here. Now you're looking pretty damn green. Appreciate the content. You bet, Jonathan. I'll do this one for you real quick. Clean Spark. All right, let's go on Clean Spark. This one was the daily divergence. We've talked about this one before. Daily divergence here is something to watch out for. Where's the line in the sand that we want to pay attention to? Well, this line right here, $15, looks pretty good. Daily divergence, what could that do? That could break you down. Look at it from a weekly scale. You could get this weekly to roll over with that daily divergence. So you really could see lower prices here, see something like this very quickly, take that stair stepper down. So Pimp Hop, thank you so much for joining. Love the name. Thank you for subscribing, buddy. But daily-wise, you just say, this doesn't look pretty. Now, let's see. Could we have found an entry point? Not necessarily at this point. So I would say there is still potential because you're in positive territory. If you base out somewhere around this level and curl back up, we could create a divergence in the future. But as this is kind of about to confirm on the daily, this is the main thing I'd pay attention to. If that curls over for one more day, you're breaking below the 20. You can test the 50, see some kind of bounce. And then maybe we're going to break down all the way to the 200 on this bad boy. So hopefully that was a little bit helpful. Lulu probably is. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, pretty much every stock in the market right now seems like a pump and dump, right? AMD is a pump and dump. NVIDIA could be a pump and dump. I think these are good stocks. I just think that this is a pump and dump, and the real price of NVIDIA will be decided in like 10 years when this comes all the way down to like maybe even 300 or wherever it wants to base out. It could base out at $100 and then see that build back up. I do think it's valuable. I'm just saying this is a bubble. And therefore you have to think like, hey, it's probably going to come back down at some point. Doesn't mean you have to be like against NVIDIA. You just say, hey, this curls down, curls back up. That's when I'll get in. I'll be patient. AMD, this thing not looking good either, right? Pump, dump. Pump, 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 dump. So you had, AMD at 227, now at 182. That's like what, 30% or something like that? I don't know, 20%, 25, about 25% down from where it was at. Thanks so much, appreciate it, Georgie. I don't know. I don't know if that reminds you of that. It doesn't remind me of anything, really. I just think this looks like dot-com bubble and housing crisis and put together right now, and that's not pretty. Okay, so NVIDIA, one thing we can pay attention to. 2 hour here. Mr. Perfect, thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate you being here. Actually, this was the 30-minute we wanted to pay attention to. 30-minute here. See if this rolls over. Remember, we just showed you all those charts that look a lot like this one. A lot like this behavior on the MACD. So if you roll over and go negative, this drop can be significant. Really pay attention to 855 to 840. That's where I'd pay attention to for NVIDIA if we see this curl over into negative territory. Now, that doesn't mean we can't see a bounce. I think if we curl down to 850, 840, and then we see this, you could actually get a divergence. There might be a good play here right before CPI. So maybe the CPI is going to be bullish for the market. Who knows? But as of right now, you have to say, well, these people, this is saying it's not going to be. This is saying we know inflation is here, curling up, positive territory, getting a green bar. Holy, like 2.82% in one day is nuts for these yields. That is actually nuts. At this level especially. Like down here we got a 3.6. Like that's worth plus 1 point or 0.14. We're almost to that same thing right here. So oof, that is worrisome. Dollar climbing. Oh my gosh, you guys, this looks very not pretty. I'm just going to tell you right now, for like your dollar is becoming more worth more. So sitting on the dollar might not be a bad move at this point. Okay, let's go look at Google. Google still hasn't given it up. Looks pretty for my puts. That's what I'm saying, DV. Let's go, dude. 2 hour for NVIDIA does look bullish. It does. If you totally ignore the 30-minute, then the 2 hour looks bullish. But I'm going to tell you right now, what about the 2 hour looks bullish here? Because if you want bullishness, this doesn't look bullish at all for the 2 hour. This looks awful for the 2 hour. I'm just telling you, like this looks like garbage for the 2 hour. All you're saying is, hey, yeah, it looks bullish because it could turn up into positive territory. That's it. You have to pay attention to the other direction. 30-minute. Look at that. Does that look bullish? Does this look bullish? Nah. This doesn't look very bullish here, Frenchie. 2 hours not positive. 2 hours not positive. 4 hour, I don't even trade this bad boy. It's positive right now, but look at the divergence up here. 4 hour told you, hey, get the f out. You know what I'm saying? Now, a correction. We are open to a correction. Sorry if you guys hear some baby crying. How far Apple can fall? I would pay attention to those weekly expected moves for Apple. This is where, all right, well, we didn't bounce from that level, guys. This is very, very bad. This is bad. You're breaking through this level. This level was the important level last week. We didn't break through, caught that trade. Now you're breaking through it, going negative. That does not look pretty. 2 hour curling over, getting that red bar, negative territory. Apple's saying it could go lower. Paying attention to those weekly expected moves to the downside. I still think like it's this low right here, like a 165.75 looks pretty good for a bounce. Now we could bounce earlier than that. That's where I just pull up my weekly expected moves. I do all that good stuff. I can look. Okay, weekly, Apple, boom. All right, so we're heading towards it early on in the week, but you have other ones heading towards the upside early on in the week. So who's right and who's wrong? Is Google right saying, hey, I'm going to push higher? Or is Apple right saying, I'm about to bust through the bottom side of my weekly expected move? Oh, it's a crazy week already, and we've already gotten another trap on Google. So that's just, oh my gosh. Okay, let's see if this 2 hours confirming. Look at that. This just confirmed. Boom. Telling you, hey, the downside potential here, the momentum dying out, is highly probable. The probability of going into a negative trend on the SPY now is higher. So we are going to need some good news. We are going to need Jerome Powell coming out and saving the market again or something, because this is very, very bad. Now, the thing is, you do have data. You still have those rocks to pay attention to in our stream because we're trading like water. Jolt's job openings tomorrow. Because Jerome Powell does not have balls and he would like us to react based on the data like he is, we have to react on the data. So that would be Jolt's job openings tomorrow morning at 30 minutes after the open. And then on Wednesday, we have ISM Services PMI. So maybe this week is very trappy, and then next week we actually see direction with CPI. Ooh, weird. Wednesday, Fed Jerome Powell has a speech. Interesting. Anyone know where Fed Jerome Powell's talking next week? Or not next week, in Wednesday? Yo, Apple going out of business? I don't know about that. I don't know about Apple going out of business. I wouldn't bank on that. But I would say, do you see this selling bar? Do you see the 2-hour divergence? I would say you guys might want to learn how to trade in a bear market strategy. I'm just saying. Just saying. 3 to 5 years. The thing about Apple is, like, after I switched to a Google Pixel phone, I was like, holy shit, why have I had an iPhone for the last 5 years? It's like, why? It hasn't changed at all. And then I've had this phone for like a month, and I'm like, this is the best thing ever. I'm like, why? Pal speaks Friday. I see us speaking on, did I say Wednesday? God dang it. Did I say the wrong day? He speaks on Wednesday. And then... yeah, actually Wednesday. Wednesday at 11:10 a.m. Central Time. What would he be talking about? I hate that he talks so much, though. Just let the market market. For MACD 9, in a bear market, or sorry, 12. Wait, no, is that right? Yeah, 12.26 9 smoothing. So in a bear market, I switch my 5-day moving average to a 9-day moving average. So when I see bullish price action, I can take little trades above the 5, right? I see a curl up on the 2-hour above the 5. I can literally be confident holding it here. See that bounce up, curls up above the 5 again, call here, take that. But in a bear market, I like the 9 a little bit better for my divergence trades, my quick little trades to get bounces and things like that. I like a 9-day, and it kind of acts with this MACD very well. So anytime this MACD crosses... right, watch this, watch this. I'll show you guys. This is something we go over in the course. I'll show it to you guys real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. Okay, so you see how the 9-day moving average is right here? Anytime that this MACD actually crosses, you're going to be below the 9, right? So if this crosses to the downside, my no price action is below the 9-day moving average. So what you can look for is if the 9-day moving average looks like this, and say you cross below it, but it didn't cross on the MACD yet, right before it crosses, you can get a little entry point, see the confirmation bar, and then that crosses over. That's why I do that. But I like a 5 for this environment. Yo, yields are going nuts. There's trades to be had, though. There are good positions to get into. Little trades, I don't know. But NVIDIA even showing you curling over, maybe on the 30-minute now. It might be curling it. Look at that. Look at that. So whoever said the 2-hour looks bullish, it really didn't. I'm sorry about that, but it didn't. Now we can get some kind of little bounce in here. Maybe we want some structure, but if you don't create the structure, then this could just rug pull out. I would say pay attention to that 855, 840 level. Oh, PayPal. I like PayPal. I use PayPal. You're going to hold... wait. Any love for PayPal at these prices? No options, just buying shares for a long position? Yeah. I would just say this. If the market goes through something crazy, you can see PayPal head lower. And I'm sorry about the baby cries. But this, I would say, if you, like, what do you mean for a long term? If I was buying long term, I'd probably still, I mean, maybe this is okay. I'm just saying that where the dollar looks, where all that looks, this is still negative. I mean, now you're above the 200. Maybe look for a retest of the 200 before you get excited like this thing's going to go crazy to the upside. Just really pay attention here. We're seeing some signals that could say like almost every stock in the stock market could head down. Yeah, this is from when I traded PayPal way back in the day. You can see like stocks that I used to trade. You can see stocks that I used to trade. I just want to show you, like, look how far down this has come. You're finally getting a reaction above the 200. It could be a good point to invest. I'm not going to say it's not, right? This is a good area. But just so you know, the next point you go down to is like $42. So it might be a time where you're like, hey, let me do a 20% buy, and then if I see lower prices, I'll do a 20% buy. If I see, it's kind of like a scale in type thing. Hell on Wednesday, economic outlook at HTE stand for business government. So okay, so we DMA for bull, 5 DMA. No, I actually use 5-day for bullish times, 9-day for bearish times. Look, markets are okay. Do you want to know my reasoning for that? And I just came up with this on my own. But on my course, I suggest 9-day is very, very simple. Hello, Alan. The reason that I use a 5-day and bullish times is because the market goes up more than it goes down. So I want to be in those moves earlier with a 5-day moving average. The reasons that I use the 9-day on bearish ones is because I want firm confirmation of a certain move happening. So it helps me out, not get into a move too early before that price action is proved. You have to get above a 9-day instead of getting above a 5-day. Does that make a little bit of sense? The market goes up more than it goes down. So we got some stomach pains today. Rough. Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad that made sense to at least Drake. But that was my thinking with it, and it's really worked for me for a couple of years now. But on my course, I say 9-day is very good. 9-day is the best one for that trading strategy that we give. So we're mostly going over a 9-day moving average. And even in the bullish times, if you use a 9-day to swing trade or something like that, using the information about indicators, you want to do that, which I can put out maybe a little swing trading course for cheap or something later on. It's very simple, so I don't want to talk too much about it. It's just so easy. But you just want that confirmation. So if you're someone that needs better confirmation, you don't want to, maybe you're dealing with less money, so you want to be a little less risky. 9 days pretty good to look at. Looking like an April Fool's kind of day. Let's see if Google is an April Fool's Day. I really want to see what this looks like by end of day. But for right now, this is your opportunity, all right? Like the video. Please, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are fantastic here. I appreciate everyone chatting. It's so much fun to click around with you guys. Real quick, I got to use the restroom. So do me a favor. Check out the Patreon. Check out the course real quick. It's $100 for just today for Bruce's birthday. My puppy. He's 2 years old now. But go check those out while I take a pee. Make sure to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff, because we're about to possibly go into a negative trend on a lot of stuff. Possibly see some topping out here on the SPY. So I'll be right back. 2 minutes. Let me just go get some bathroom time and some coffee. And we're back. Oh, come on, camera. There we go. We are back in action. Gold and oil on a good day right now. Let's see. So these things ticking up, it makes sense. This is your inflation play. Ooh, we gapped above 205.65. That's huge. Oh my goodness. Bitcoin really rolling over here. Something to pay attention to. Nvidia going negative here. This is the 30-minute that could cross over, guys. This is where you want to say Nvidia could be rolling over in negative territory. What happens from there? Well, we test the lower, we go make a new one, and you got to say the likelihood of making a new one here is very high because we're about to roll over right when we test that level. So still from here, make sure that's fully rolled over. That's what I would say. You got 30 minutes. AMD giving a little bit of a fake out up here maybe. Google still holding at those higher levels. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. But I still want to just see the SPY. Really, I think this is a very important signal. Now, if you're going to base out from here, this 2 hour is not going to amount to anything. Well, then we're going to see this 30-minute curl back up. So that's what we can pay attention to right now. But the 2 hour curling over, you're seeing these yields now up 2.73. That is wild. And we still have a little bit of calls trickling in. Some puts starting to trickle in as of right now. Microsoft gave up the gains. Google's still up there. Meta, not seeing too much strength, gave up its gains right here. See if this can curl up though, right? It still can. We can still see upward moves. What's up, Luke? What's the overall sentiment today? I think overall you just have to look at the PMI today. Not the best news, right? So the manufacturing PMI, not the best news going forward, right? Manufacturing PMI. I don't know why it's like not posted anymore. That's very weird. Let me fix this real quick. Why is this? There it is. All right, save that. Came in at 50.3. Right, so 51.9 up top here, but ISM manufacturing PMI at 50.3, expected to come in at 48.4, but the previous 47.8. So you got a like 2.5 higher on this. Not very good. Tomorrow we get Jolt's job opening, so we still have potential to head higher every single time. That's why we want to be trading like water still out there. Nvidia, something very important. Maybe we will watch this on the 30-minute just for a moment. You're seeing this breakdown. You got to say, if this crosses over, the probabilities of lower price action, this is kind of like where you want that confirmation with a 9-day moving average, right? The 9 on the 30-minute. So right now, not looking very good. Damn those bonds. What the well, if they are selling, then that's a big, big signal, guys. Google's asking for a dramatic drop now. That's all you got to say. Google should be heading down with these yields heading up. So, holy crap. Let's look at the dollar again, see if that's fading at all. Nope. just nope. Just nope. That thing is skyrocketing to the upside, making a new high here above this one. Added to my Google puts here. Hey, totally understand that. Totally understand that. If you have those weekly expected moves, you know why Google is in a dangerous spot right now and why these divergences up here could be very important for the next couple weeks. Remember, March was Trap City. March was trap. This month, what did we say April is going to be? Well, it might be 1 or 2 traps that leads to some kind of correction or some kind of crash. And you gotta say, when you're seeing things like this, crashes can happen based on this stuff happening. So you're seeing these yields come up. This puts banks under pressure again, and then the potential for a banking crisis starts to escalate. This means that we're starting to have crashes potentially happen, volatility going up, about to cross positive territory. Remember that? Cross positive territory. Sure, we can get reactions up and then get a curl down for a retest, but right now, boom. Closing above these moving averages, good thing. Now, crash indication, close above the 200. Gotta close above the 200. You notice we wick out, we drop down, we drop down, we wick out up here, drop down. We need to close above that, get that 50 to climb above it. This could be the moment. April could be the moment where we see at least some kind of corrective move, if not some kind of market crash. If we get some bad news, guys, I'm not going to say this is the crash until we get that bad news, but we very well might be going into that crash in the form of a bear market, like I've been saying, I think could happen, especially when we're dependent on data. We could just keep seeing bounces along the way. Not a good sign. Bruce is sitting next to me. He's chewing his new toy there. I mean, you can use a little bit of both. Like, I know on mine, I have SMA for my 9, my 50, and my 200, but I have an EMA 20. I don't think there's that big, like that huge. It's just that's what I've used for the longest time. So I guess my only thing would be watching how I trade. Well, I use an SMA for the 9, the 50, and this would be my 5 as well. So for the 5, I use the SMA as well, but the EMA for the 20 there. So the 20 is pretty important. If you want to know, like, I mean, I know that the only thing with like my 20 here, exponential, I believe I'll have to look into it a little more and maybe answer that tomorrow if you ask, but I believe maybe someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe an EMA kind of takes more into account the recent price action versus or maybe I have that backwards. Someone might have to correct me on that, but Bruce's birthday is today. So Bruce's birthday is today. That's why the course is going to be only $100 today for April. We April Fool's you. It was going to end yesterday. It's going to stay on for today. So by tomorrow morning, that will go up. But you can thank Bruce. Say thank you, Bruce. Happy birthday if you're looking at getting that course today. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have this right, that the EMA kind of tracks the recent price action, and the simple moving average just tracks like the flow of all of it. I'm pretty sure. But I'll double check on that and get back to you. If you want to ask again tomorrow, I'll do some research and make sure that's actually what's happening. I don't want to tell you something and then it's just like wrong. This is a huge signal though. 2 hour able to curl down. We got yields popping higher. Good divergence here. Is this simple little divergence right here going to be the top? That very well could happen. Simplest answer, usually the right one. 2 hour divergence up here, overextended. Dailies have a ton of divergences. Dollar popping, 10-year yield. Keep it simple. 2 hour divergence, most likely heading down here. That's how I would keep it simple. Emails here. I gotta get out of all these subscriptions to all these like businesses in town and stuff like that. On the SPY daily below 520. I mean, so if I was day trading here and I see these types of things, right, I see weakness and those divergences and things, what you can do is say, hey, there's momentum weakening here. Maybe I target the bottom side of the daily expected move, find a little bit of a move here. I just don't prefer day trading because of like a 30-minute or something like that. This can literally just go sideways for the rest of the day and you're just kind of ruined. So even just taking a couple days out when you see these signals is pretty good. Nvidia's getting cooked. There it is, 30-minute. Let's see if it can drop. This is a very important level. You're going to get the crossing of the MACD at the same time as this potential crossing of the MACD down here. So you're going to break through this level at the same time, curling over on the MACD. Very, very bearish sign. You could say like, hey, if I'm going to continue this type of selling pattern once that happens, well, where could we end up? Well, we'd end up right towards 860. I'd still say 855 to 840 looking like a good area. How to use it in general, it's good to look from just to know where those points are. So if you guys remember NVIDIA, we saw a huge call wall up at 1,000 at this time. So when this happened, we saw a huge call wall at 1,000, but we also had another one at 950. Okay, so we had one at 950 and one at 1,000. So that would tell me, okay, I need to pay attention if we get above 1,000 because there's a lot of calls there. So we could see people hit the sell button. That actually happened at 950. We were able to lose 950, so that's going to escalate. Okay. So that's overall what you want to pay attention to with Max Pain is like, it's a good areas to look at for where people might take profit, in my opinion. So if I see 950 is the call wall, okay, well, if I go up above 950, then all those people made money. What do people do when they get up a bunch of money on NVIDIA? They hit the sell button. Okay, so they got up a bunch of money very quickly, went from 920 all the way up to 975. Boom, they hit the sell button. That selling continues and continues, especially as you lose 950 again. Once you start to lose 950 again, all the people with 950 calls go, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Kind of got to look at the mentality of people. Hasn't curled over yet. So you can't put too much into Max Pain. It's something fun to look at to give you some levels. That's what I would say, right? We just used it as a form to find some levels. So we said 950, going to be what we're paying attention to the upside, right? And then the other one was, I think it was this week, like 900. So once we start to lose 900, but this selling just continued. So this was good at this point. This week we have a call wall up above like 1,000. We're not seeing it move that direction, so I'm not putting a lot into, not a lot of thought into Max Pain. I'm just following the MACD. The MACD is going to be very simple here if it crosses over, most likely seeing lower prices. Sad day for golf. I haven't been golfing in like a year. I need to get out there. My clubs are still at my buddy's house from when I moved. I used to work at a golf store back when I was like 19. I sold golf stuff, so I used to fit people to clubs and that kind of stuff. Google's still going higher. It's just totally ignoring the fact that these yields are going absolutely bonkers, still hitting new highs. Still hitting new highs in these yields today. Dollars still hitting new highs as of today, so very worrisome day. VIX, we have to pay attention if this is up by more than 10%. It would be kind of crazy for the VIX to be up more than 10%. And we didn't even see that big of a drop in the SPY. That would be kind of crazy. But the fear's starting to creep back into this market. Maybe we're able to curl up on this MACD on the daily. That's what I'd pay attention to. See if the VIX is able to curl up. Could mean volatility is about to explode. And weird that Jerome Powell, does anyone, okay, I know someone mentioned what Jerome Powell is talking on Wednesday, where he's talking. Can someone put that in the chat again? Where is Jerome, what conference or what forum is Jerome Powell talking about on Wednesday? Maybe someone could look that up for me. Why didn't I buy puts? Well, we told you where the level it needed to hold up, right? We said this level right at this wick pretty much. So we were in like a 30-minute or something like that. And I was just like, okay, this here is probably pretty important. Actually, it was this, was it it was a 2-hour, I think. Yeah, it was a 2-hour. Overall, it was when we break down below this wick right here. So I think we were looking at like a 15-minute because it's pretty low. Looking for it to break through this level right here and then use it as resistance, 62.36. And you see, what do? We break through the level, break through, use it as resistance. Now we break again. What do? We cross down into negative territory right by the center line. That's when the selling will continue. So good trade here. Kind of difficult though. I don't really mess around with stuff like this. I would just there's better trade setups, right? There's always better trade setups than trading something so new. So that's why I would just say on that, I would just be like, okay, I can pay attention to other things. I mean, the SPY curling over on a 2 hour. Okay, what can I look for? I can look for things that have some extreme upside. I can look at Google. I can look at Microsoft. That's the big one with all those signals. I can look at Meta, all these things. Okay, so he's talking about the semi-annual monetary policy report with Congress. All right, we might have to watch that, guys. We might have to stay live and watch that on Wednesday. So we might be watching some Jerome Powell on Wednesday. And as we are starting to approach 11 o'clock, I am going to just give us a little breakdown of every stock that we do cover on this channel. Let's go over those real quick. Will you be adding Google to the weekly monthlies? I actually am going to be adding them once we get 20 more members. I think we need 20 more members. So if you're thinking about joining the Patreon, all you got to do, go down in the link in the description, click that little thing down there that says, hey, if you want to join the Patreon, get those weekly expected moves for every stock, you're going to look for this, and then we'll be adding Google and Microsoft and one other stock that we're going to decide on by the end of the month. So we have to decide on a stock if people vote on it right away. So right now, it's just a good time to join. A lot of people in there, a lot of people doing some good stuff, but we have this bear market that could begin, and these weekly ranges are very, very, very useful in a bear market. You really want the implied volatility and stuff like that is in the expected moves are very good tools to have when volatility is a little bit higher. Because when volatility is higher, yes, we have a bigger range, but if we get outside of one of those ranges early on, we see some setups. That could be a very good signal to get in on a trade or get in going to the downside as well. So something to pay attention to there. But as we are approaching the 11 o'clock here for me, I'm going to just give you a full breakdown of every stock that we do cover, okay? And then watch out on Patreon. I might be putting out a video very soon this afternoon if I see some trade setups. But right now, the trade setup I want to pay attention to, the SPY telling you like, hey, this could be the moment where I start to fall down with this steep divergence on the MACD, good divergence down here on the RSI at the same time. Want this to curl over. Remember, we compare this to the volatility on the VIX. We're stating how this could be a double bottom. Look at volatility. It popped higher with that double bottom. SPY giving you the same thing the other direction, but you haven't seen that price actually drop down yet. So we want to see this price actually drop down. Remember, even though this 2-hour signal crossed, what if the 30-minute just curls up one more time and gives us a divergence first? Okay, so always be open to upside with this, but I'm just telling you right now, this could be like cup, we could get a handle, we could head higher, but as we are seeing things like the 10-year yield skyrocketing, we have the dollar skyrocketing, UVXY seeing a good little push now, dollar skyrocketing, VIX skyrocketing, 10-year yield skyrocketing all at the same time. Not a good sign. Very, very bad sign. The only thing you haven't seen is a sell-off in the market. So you will need that bad news to come in. Look for a 30-minute to curl up if we see that positivity. But 2 hour telling you like, hey, this is the top, honestly. 2 hours telling you this is the top for the SPY at this point. But we don't want to be overly bearish, overly bullish, right? So the Qs weren't able to match the SPY. That's something to pay attention to. Remember, if this doesn't catch up, then you have to put this actually in as a downward signal on the 2 hour here, seeing that curl over. See if this 30 minutes able to curl over. Look where it would go into negative territory. So if we see more weakness here, we can head lower. But if we're actually seeing this as a big left shoulder ahead, maybe this is a right shoulder carving out, we can be open to positivity here. Apple, this thing just breaking down. Remember what we were saying throughout all last week and now this week. Hey, if this wants to head up, okay, we have left, we have head, we have a right shoulder. But as we just broke through this level here, you have to say now you have that left head, right shoulder the other direction. Good to be open to both directions. Now from here, you expect maybe some kind of bounce. So see if that's able to roll up and go positive. That could be a good sign, right? We could be going positive here. We want to pay attention if there's any kind of divergences, no 15-minute, anything like that just yet. So no real divergences here. So you have to say the likelihood of this trend continuing is very, very possible. But from this level, now you have to create that right shoulder. So we could get some kind of bounce here to create that right shoulder. Tesla really just breaking down. The thing about Tesla was the 2 hour curled over, negative territory possible here. So we could be breaking down. Maybe this like comes down and creates left head and a right shoulder. Maybe we react down to something like 166, see some kind of bounce for a little retest of a certain area up here. And then we see that break down, right? We see the head and shoulders that could form. You had your flagging going on here. Now we're breaking through it. So you'd expect this maybe to happen one more time. Check out that 154.78 for the future, or if it happens quickly this week, pay attention to those weekly expected moves. Explain the background. Why is it generally bad for the market if the yield, dollar, etc. is going up? Okay, so if the yield goes up, that means it is more expensive for the loans for these growth companies. So growth companies, growth stocks like tech stocks, they need constant funding to keep growing. So the fact that the yield goes up means that getting those loans to keep growing becomes more expensive. And then it comes harder to pay them back if we go recession. If people can't afford to buy product, then they struggle to pay back their loan to the bank, and then the bank will suffer because of that. So we will default and things like that. So that's what you want to pay attention to with yields. When yields go up, tech stocks go down because it is bad for growth stocks. It is very bad because they need to constantly be growing, constantly adding money, and they can't do that if yields are at higher levels, and they have potential to default if they don't make profit at those levels. Now, the dollar going up is just because it is a negative correlation. So the dollar has a negative correlation to the stock market. And that's why I was like, hey, be very worried, because we've seen this happen for quite some time. So what this would tell you is who is selling in this big move up, because the stock market looks like this, right? The stock market just looks like that while the dollar looks like that. That's not what you want to see. And now we're seeing that break even higher. What this is saying is if retail traders are most likely holding stocks at this point, these are the insiders selling. Remember back here, we were talking about Mark Zuckerberg selling a bunch, Jeff Bezos selling a bunch, the CEO of NVIDIA selling a bunch. Well, now that's seeing another move higher, so more of those guys most likely selling at that point. The dollar, when it goes up, that means the dollar has more value, right? So that would mean that stocks are supposed to head down there, negatively correlated. The VIX heading up is just volatility. So this is almost like a fear indication. So when fear is extremely, extremely low, but you're seeing things like the dollar raise higher, the yields holding higher, things like that, it invites volatility to come back in rapidly. And that's kind of what we're seeing today. It's up 8%. Now, when the volatility is up 10% in a given day, there is that 85% chance for a down day in the VIX, aka a green day in the overall stock market, the SPY. So this is really what you want to use, and you want to pay attention to this in the SPY at the same time. We saw that 2 hour double bottom down here for volatility, and we're seeing that right now on the SPY as it tries to break down lower and lower, and we're seeing that confirm. So when you see them at the same time, it's a very, very good tool. But right now you want to see if this 2 hour goes negative for that. Amazon, the next one that we were tackling here, 2 hour divergence formed again up here. So you have 2 hour divergences all across all this. You're getting that wonky, trappy price action. We did really well with Amazon. We can erase this flag at this point. We did really well with it. But now you're seeing that divergence potential to go negative here. Hasn't crossed over yet, but this was a big trap up in here, right? We wicked out pretty early on in the week. So that's something to pay attention to. But you're seeing that curl over. What that means is the daily can reject, right? The daily was crossed originally. Now it's rejecting, which means we can go to negative territory. So the reason you want to pay attention to rejections is just because we look for divergences. And if you've taken the course, you understand why divergences are very, very powerful. And it has something to do with the MACD centerline, right? We talk about it in the course. $100 just for today, guys. Then it goes up to 200 tomorrow. So make sure you're grabbing that if you want to learn this stuff. But the daily not able to curl up. Now, why rejections can be worse is because when you're at higher prices and you reject, you're closer to that center line than even if you had a divergence. So rejections sometimes can be worse. So that's what you want to pay attention to with Amazon. If it's rejecting, closing below the 20, well, then we can react all the way down to the 50. We can start a negative trend on the daily scale. NVIDIA, This thing seeing some weakness. Someone trying to say like, there's a 2 hour that looks like very bullish. I don't see anything bullish about the 2 hour yet, right? We're not trying to predict. We're reacting. If you sit here and convince yourself, oh, well, the red bars down here turned pink, so therefore this might curl up. Yeah, it might curl up, but it hasn't yet. You want to see that curl up and then react. You want to see positivity, then react, then catch that move going up. But right now, not able to do that, going negative. So what you want to pay attention to is actually the 30-minute. Now, we haven't broke down through the low yet, but what if we break down through the low and cross the MACD at the same time? That's not going to be a good thing. I would say something around 840 to 855 is where I would target for NVIDIA to get some kind of bounce. AMD kind of faking us out today, but is it just retesting this area? We'll see. It's in positive territory. That's a decent sign, but I wonder if the 15-minute has a little divergence here. Now it has it on the flatness on the MACD, not on the RSI. So no divergences here. See if this is able to stay positive, but the 2 hour, see if that's able to go positive. You can see how it's close to the center line. What happens to stocks? Well, we break down. We curl back up towards that center line, curl back up towards the center line, then we see that drop off, and then we go like this, but then we can create a divergence in the future. So I'm not saying they can't bounce later. I'm just saying how it looks right now, I'm not convinced like, hey, this thing has to go up at this point. That's all I would say. Now, Meta, this one here, seeing this one is holding up at this level. We expect it to hold up at this level. Let's see if it can curl up and go positive. That's your positive trigger. Right, you need those positivity triggers to come in. 30-minute down in negative territory. So if this keeps curling over on the 30-minute, you're going to see lower prices. That 2 hour will not be able to cross up. So pay attention to this. But if I were you, I would really be thinking about joining that Patreon, looking at weekly ranges. They are going to become more and more important as volatility goes up. Microsoft, we're going to go through this one as well. This one had great signals. This one had a great trade setup. Boom, 30-minute divergence. Take that. Boom. We see this downward action. Now we're curling up. We're right at that center line. Let's see if this thing can curl back down. Now, on the 2 hour here for Microsoft, we saw that divergence as well. That makes this even more powerful. So you were very, very strong with this divergence up here. You were very confident that this was going to see a solid move down. Guess what? It was a 10-point move down. It was almost more than that. It was like 12 points down. You made good money. Now you can get out. About to curl up positive territory. Let's see if that actually happens. And then this is what we're going to add to those weekly expected moves. Once we get 20 more members, we're going to add Microsoft and Google. Now, this one looks a little bit closer to crossing. It's right by that center line. So if we get positivity here, we could go make another point and boom. Guess what? You just have another entry point for that divergence. Maybe this is some kind of fake out as you'd be getting outside of the weekly expected move. So let's pay attention to that with Microsoft. Google seeing a very strong move, but setting up a point of divergence on a 2 hour. So up in this area, you have a 2 hour divergence. The thing about this 2 hour divergence, it's at the same time as the dailies. Now, this hasn't confirmed. Nothing of it on this on Google has confirmed. You want to react, not necessarily gamble with it up in this area unless you're good at it. Okay, you don't want to be taking anything early unless you're good at getting in and getting out. But you see if this daily divergence would confirm, we most likely would be seeing a little bit lower prices. See if that's able to curl down, curl back up. Well, that would curl down, curl back up, positive territory, maybe with earnings. So just take a breather today, be open to both directions, but right now you're seeing some signals that are not looking pretty. Mara really starting to drop off exactly where we said, right? This zone up here can act as a sell zone. We see the divergence up in this area. Boom, it heads down. We had the flag to head higher. This was very, very good. We did pretty good with Mara going forward. Now you could say, is this creating some kind of, head and shoulders in the future? Maybe it sees a reaction up. We get some kind of left head, big right shoulder over here. But this is just kind of, it would be kind of a wonky head and shoulders. I would say this is a very big move. The thing about this is daily divergence. You knew that this big downward move was coming. Look at this. Even on this bar right here, here's your entry bar, right around 25.78. This point here, you knew there was more downside coming. Boom, more downside comes. Good trade there. So overall, I'm just saying you want to be careful. You're seeing high yield growth drop off, has divergence, got a little bit of a fake out to the upside. There was a 30-minute double top up here. So there's a lot going on that told you high yield growth was going to back off. Now we're seeing TLT back off. This is, I exited my position, my trade here. I still have it at 82.50, but I exited my trade here because I'm seeing that drop off. And we could be seeing a reaction up soon. We actually could. We're heading towards some monthlies. We give you the TLT monthly stuff and it actually works pretty well. What if we actually create some kind of divergence down here that leads to a pop? Means maybe they have to cut rates for some reason. I don't know, but right now, this heading upward like this, we explained why this is bad for tech stocks. That is a huge, huge move. You start to get above 4.362. Very bad things can happen in the banking sector. Difference between Goog and Google. Oh shoot, what is it? They're the same, but it's something to do with a dividend, isn't it? I literally did this like 2 weeks ago, and I already forgot. Stock tickers alphabet. The main difference between Goog and Google stock ticker symbols is that Goog shares have no voting rights. That's what it is. Goog shares have no voting rights, while Google shares do. So, I thought it was a dividend or something, but it's not at this point. All right, so that's where we're going to leave you guys off for today. I'm going to go hang with the girls, see if we can go for a walk or something like that for baby girl. But thank you. I mean, I know Bruce appreciates all the happy birthdays out there. I appreciate you guys liking, subscribing. Make sure to think about joining that Patreon. Very, very good time to join, as those weekly ranges will become more and more important. Only $7 a month. And then if you're wanting to learn this stuff and then utilize those weekly ranges a little bit better, make sure to go check out that course, okay? You literally could take it. It would probably take you all day today, and then you'd be done. You would come into this market with a fresh perspective, and then you'd be a part of the Patreon so I can show you some of those setups, make it a little easier for you. But overall, you're trying to learn about this, a great thing to do. Take a little course. I can tell you that my course, I know it's beneficial. I know it is, because it's everything that I use and I do pretty well in this market. So make sure to pay attention to it. It's very, very good. You can take it multiple times. It's not you take it once and it's gone. You can go back. I encourage you to refer to it multiple times. If you're seeing something on the MACD, go into the course, click on the MACD section, get a little refresher and be like, okay, I'm thinking of this clearly. Now I want to take that trade. Great time to take that. But make sure to get that course, $100 for the rest of today. By tomorrow morning, that will be gone. You will have to pay more for it. You'll have to pay double. So it's a good time to take that. Appreciate you guys being here today. I'm going to go have a great rest of my day. I'm still going to have to pay attention to my trades as we're seeing a lot of these signals happen. But I hope that you guys have a great rest of your trading day. Seems like we got some good trades going on out there. Let's keep it going. Trade like water. We do have some information coming out throughout the week. We have Jerome Powell talking, which we will be live for this Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday we'll have a longer live show, so make sure to put it in your calendar. Wednesday, I'm showing up to this live and we're watching a little bit longer. But as always, I appreciate you guys stopping by. I appreciate all the likes, the subscribing. You guys are always fantastic. Thank you so much, Marina, for donating over on PayPal. Really appreciate that. And I'm gonna go buy Bruce a little dog toy from you. That way, because that's what that donation's for. It's not for my coffee this time. It's for Bruce's birthday. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Trade like water out there, because I'm gonna do the same. And I'll see you back on YouTube later today. Peace.